Beedo. Am I live? Any sign of me being live? Oh, it says upcoming. I'm looking at my PC. It's saying upcoming. Is it upcoming or is it live? Now, my internet has been a little bit dodgy. Oh, that's me though, isn't it? Looks like I might be streaming then. Excellent. Right, so Puzzle Masters 2. Now, normally, of course, I like to get these reviews out, pretty much the week when the set comes out. Unfortunately, this time around, as is so often the case, I had a massive ulcer on my lip, was completely unable to speak for hours and hours. Small set this, we should be done in a few hours. Couple hours, maybe? Maybe. So I wasn't able to do the set review straight away, unfortunately. So I've had a chance to, see one or two of the better cards of the set. I've had a chance to even get hold of a couple myself. I've got hold of a couple of good ones. Although I'm nowhere near picking up the entire thing. So let's just crack on with it, shall we? Let us go first to the information pagey page, because that will tell us what the planeswalkers are. Are we going to learn anything reading this? Always in standard, yes, we know. Boosters, yes, blah, 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 blah. 250 crystals, non-duplicate. I mean, it's very expensive, isn't it? I kind of don't mind the fact that it's very, very expensive. I do kind of own all of the other cards that aren't PM2 at the moment in the game. It's unusual for me, though. I don't normally pick everything up straight away. And I kind of don't mind that. I don't mind things coming in dribs and drabs, to be perfectly honest. But I get why people do mind it. So, I don't know. I don't really mind the fact that I'm going to be grabbing this set in dribs and drabs over the course of the next year, maybe. I think it takes about a year to get hold of this thing. I worked out once that you can get I can get about 500 crystals a week. Yeah, you play all the events and you watch the ads. And part of me getting those amount of crystals is getting quite large crystal rewards for being in a coalition, coming high in a coalition, because I am in Goblin Pile. If you're not aware, we're in the top 10. Who's in? Hello! Welcome. Who are you? I don't recognise the name. Say hello anyway. Yes, what was I saying? About 500 crystals. I reckon you can get about 500 crystals in a week. Maybe a bit less than that. Like I say, 50, 60, 70 of that is coming is doing well in a top coalition. So maybe close to 400. I don't know. I haven't done this maths in a while, sorry. Maybe that's not even true anymore. But, let's say you can get more than one, but maybe not as many as 2 PMA cards in a week. And that is if you're not spending crystals on anything else. Now, I don't spend crystals on boosters for the set. I don't see any point spending crystals on boosters for the sets. I haven't spent an appreciable amount of money. I used to be one of these people who used to buy 10 premium packs every time a set was released, and then I just stopped doing that, and it saved me an awful lot of money, and I just got all of my boosters from prizes. Planeswalkers are good at the moment, though, aren't they? Yeah, we had Dak, we had Guff, he was all right. Oko, very powerful. Looks like some of these new ones are powerful as well. So, Yeah, so it's probably going to take, I don't know, it's going to take more than a year to get hold of all of these Puzzle Masters 2 cards. But yeah, like I say, I don't really mind that. If you're new, by the way, if you're a new player to the game, I really wouldn't spend any money on Puzzle Masters 2. It's very, very expensive. It's really for people who have got everything they need for Legacy and Standard already and just want some more cards. There are some good cards in Puzzle Masters 2, but it's really hard to get hold of them because there is also some absolute dreck, as like in any set, any Magic Puzzle Quest set. You know, most of it's dreck. So if you're new, don't buy Puzzle Masters 2 cards. I'm not at all interested in the collector's boxes and things. Let's head straight to the Planeswalkers. Let's see what we've got. Sorin, Revelous Neonate. I know that Goz likes this guy. What have we got? +4, +1, +2. Okay, it's not great. Passive. At the beginning of your turn, if you control a simple or vampire token, your opponent loses 1 life, then you gain 3 life. Okay, that's basically nothing. Ability 1, 5 food tokens. They're just life, aren't they? Then if you control 2 or less creature cards, gain control of target opposing creature. That creature gains stun counter 1. I mean, I like gaining control of my opponent's creatures. I think I'd kind of prefer to just kill it for 9 though. Like on Nicol Bolas 1 will just kill something for 9, won't he? I don't know. You're gaining control of something. It gets stunned, so you don't get the effects of it for a turn. You don't get to attack with it for a turn. Although it doesn't immediately, because of the weird way that stun counter works, it doesn't immediately get disabled. So you'll get some passives, and then the passives will turn off, and then they'll turn back on again. But I mean, that's a well-costed ability for stealing a creature. And yes, you get 5 food tokens for some reason. Nocturnal Buffet costs 12. Create a Faithful Servant token. At the beginning of combat on your turn, your vampire creatures get +X/+X. X is the amount of life you gained this turn. Okay, so you're gaining 3 life from the passive, and you're putting a bunch of food tokens on the board. How much? Can anyone remember how much life food tokens give you? Oh, I know how I can find that out. Food. Because I so rarely play with food tokens. 3 life, right, okay, so a food token gains you 3 life. And create some, so you get some vampires, and they get buffed. Have they got lifelink? I bet they've got lifelink as well, haven't they? Yeah, they have got lifelink. Oh, I thought for a minute it was a 3/3. It's showing you what 3 vampire tokens look like. It's not a 3/3 vampire token that gets reinforced twice. It's our old faithful 1/1 lifelink. I mean, that's okay, isn't it? Again, yeah? You're basically looking at, you know, a 6/6 lifelinker, and that's not nothing, isn't it? Gaining life is always a good thing. I don't mind that. Those are some decent abilities. I'm not falling over myself to get this guy, but these are some decent abilities. Feeding the Soul costs 10. Well, that's interesting. We don't often get abilities going downwards in cost, do we? Opposing creatures gain imminent death. For 10, okay. Destroy all simple tokens. Then you gain X life. X is the number of eyes. Done it again, hasn't he? He's, oh yeah, I'm going to create some food tokens for 12 loyalty. This is Clive, the game designer who loves this synergy. Going to create some food tokens, and I'm going to destroy the 2 food tokens, and then I'm going to gain some life for destroying the food token. Yeah, whatever. I mean, I don't really like killing things with imminent death. Famously, you can still get completely overrun by a tainted adversary if you try and kill it with imminent death. Because it takes a long time to kill that enormous stack of zombies, and they will kill you. But again, you know, that's quite cheap. That's not bad as long as you've got a backup plan for sweeping the entire board if something goes wrong. 10 loyalty to give all your opponent's creatures imminent death is not the worst thing in the world. I mean, I don't think destroying simple tokens is really anything apart from you destroy your own simple tokens. But then if you, I'm not picking up, if there's supposed to be loads of synergy between ability 1 and ability 3, I'm not really picking it up. You know what I mean? So I don't think the simple tokens is much. But he's all right, isn't he? I don't mind him. Mana bonuses seem a bit low in this day and age. I bet Goz hates those. But he's okay. 96 life is low. Oh, but he does have that passive where he is gaining life. But I don't know, it's a bit ropey, isn't it? If you've got simple tokens, if you've got vampire tokens, you know? So if your opponent's ahead and he's keeping your shit off the board, you're not gaining life, and you're having to deal with the fact that you've got 96 life then. Don't like it. Don't like 96 life. I've started playing Teferi, what's the guy's name? Teferi Ahsoka of Alcatraz, wherever it is, I forget. Zalfir, that's where he comes from, isn't it? And I keep looking, I've started playing him in Revolving Planeswalk, and I keep looking up his life total and thinking to myself, how have I been damaged? Nothing's hit me this turn. And then I just remember he's only got 2 digits in his life total. I do not like 2-digit life totals. The only thing I don't like about Ral, one of my favourite Planeswalkers, is his life total is 102, which is very low. Anyway, he's okay. Sorin, we don't mind him. Let's move on to Ral. What have we got here? +3, +2, +4, +1. Well, it's better than that, isn't it? So I don't mind that. I don't mind that spread. I'm quite into that. I know that a lot of people, they like Kasmina's mana, don't they? They're like, well, there's always going to be a green or a red match on the... Green or blue match on the board. Yeah, there always is. So it doesn't matter that, you know, I've got 2 different -2s. I don't like that, though. I don't like the 2 different -2s. I like my mana spread to be a little less extreme than Kasmina's. I'm quite happy with Nicol Bolas 1's mana spread, yeah? +3, +3, +3, -1, -1. I'm quite happy with that. So I don't mind that mana spread. What have we got? When you cast a spell, gain 1 loyalty. I don't really like that because, I mean, that's a Johnny thing, isn't it? If you're playing the game fairly, it's kind of nothing. Yeah? And we don't need to be giving the Johnnies anything else to play with. I think it's a bad idea to be giving the Johnnies something else to play with. Oh, I noticed he has a 9 spell limit, which is high. Johnny combo players are always looking out for high spell counts so they can go loopy spells. They can put a wizard class in or a Song of Creation, probably a wizard class these days. Wizard class is the easiest one to get hold of. A wizard class and 9 spells, and kablooey, you can go insane. And that 9 is a lot, isn't there? That's more than Ral. I believe Ral's is 8, isn't it? Pretty sure that Ral is at Viceroy, the original Ral. I'm pretty sure his limit is 8. So 9 is a lot, so that's nice. What have we got? Discard the last card from your hand, draw 2 cards. This is sounding a bit like Dak, isn't it? If a spell card was discarded, ignite 4 gems. Otherwise, gain 9 mana. I mean, I'd rather have Dax, yeah? Dax, where if the card you discard has no mana in it, you gain 15 mana. I've started playing with Dak, and 2 things I've noticed. The first one is that it is really irritating with Dak that if you get a Cascade and you get an extra swap, yeah, so you do find yourselves in situations where you don't have a card in your hand that doesn't have mana in it. So that's quite irritating. But You know, you don't have to use his first ability every single turn. You just want to. And 15 mana is a shitload. Absolute shitload. So Ignite 4 or gain 9 mana is less than 15 mana. That's how I'm looking at that. So it's okay. It's okay as a first ability, but like I say, you'll probably find that a lot of players who are wanting to play Ral want to play a bunch of spells anyway. We don't really like igniting the 4 gems. I mean, I don't know, like, this is something you do before you swap, isn't it? So maybe igniting 4 gems on the board creates a better move for you. But I don't like the sound of it, to be perfectly honest. Ability 2 costs 10. Deal X damage to target opposing creature X. It's 5 plus a number of spell cards in all graveyards. Now, off the top of my head, I can't even remember exactly what Ral Izzet Viceroy's second ability does. I can't remember exactly what it does. But it basically does that, doesn't it? You point it at a creature, it does X damage depending on what's in your graveyard. Oh my word, I just noticed his first ability costs 8. Oh, well, that's bad then. I just assumed it was 6 because it looks like Dax and it looks like Ral 1s. So, yeah, and Unleash the Storm there, I noticed, costs 10, which again is worse than Ral Izzet Viceroy. He's definitely looking worse than Ral Izzet Viceroy at the moment. Let's see what his ultimate is. What have we got? 4 Electrostatic Accumulator. When you cast a non-copy spell, deal X damage to your opponent. X is this support's shield. This support loses 1 shield. I mean, again, that looks very, very much like Ral Izzet Viceroy, doesn't he? He's got that ultimate that... You know, when I first got hold of Ral Izzet Viceroy, I didn't use his ultimate a lot. I used to almost exclusively use his first ability. But these days, now I'm relying on the Vanguard Renin 6 for mana. I often find myself using Ral Izzet Viceroy's ultimate and dealing a lot of damage with it and drawing a lot of cards with it. This one doesn't draw cards. I mean, this guy, to me, he looks okay, but he looks like a worse version of Ral Izzet Viceroy. That is what I'm going to say about this guy. And let's move on. Grist the Plague Sworn. I happen to know this guy's amazing, actually. I'm sorry. It's she. Grist is a she. And I believe she is just like a big swarm of insects. A bit like Spider's Man, if you know Spider's Man from the Spider-Man comic. Just a big colony of insects. What have we got? +4, +2, +3. Okay. Again, that's a little better than +4, +1, +2, isn't it? We've seen +4, who's got... I think, does Nissa Worldwaker have +4, +2, +3? I think so. Anyway, let's move on. Passive ability. Here we go. When you cast a creature card for the first time each turn, it gains the insect subtype. Right. Not interesting. Then gain X mana. Right, now it's starting to get more interesting, isn't it? X is the number of insect cards you control, including their reinforcements, up to 10. Okay, so from a standing start, you play 1 creature. It turns into an insect, you gain 1 mana. Not particularly interesting. Oh, and you don't get to, like... Firstly, it has to be cast, and secondly... it only works on the first creature you do. So if you were to do a big Herald loop, you wouldn't just be gaining infinite amounts of mana. It's very smart of them to catch that, isn't it? There are infinite loops in this very Puzzle Masters 2 set that Webcore have not caught. And we will get to those. But they actually thought about that one. But I mean, this looks okay, especially because I noticed at the bottom of the screen there's a Golgari insect token. Ability 1, Maggot Feast, costs 6. Destroy the top 4 cards of your library. Corrupt 4 gems. Corrupt deals some amount of damage. I hate all of the fucking improved gem mechanics. I hate them all. They all suck. They're all way over-engineered. Plus, I don't really remember what they do. You know, sea gem, you get some mana, maybe some life. I don't know. Corrupt, you lose some life when you pop it. Is it just your opponent loses? It's like, I don't know. Deny, like, I've really tried to learn what they did recently. For the longest time, I just thought to myself, well, I just don't care what Deny Gems does. I'm just going to put a Demolish at the top of my hand, just in case whatever they happen to do at random makes me discard a card. So I'll put a Demolish and turn it off as the first card in my hand in case I have to discard something. And then I'll just beat Teferi Chronoclast. Because he's not, because I don't think he's all that. But recently I spent some time reading all of the different things that Deny Gems do and how they turn into Denied. They give a player Denied and they turn into time bubbles, and then what happens when they get the time bubble and blah, 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 blah. I learned very carefully what it all did, but it's so complicated I've forgotten it all now. So corrupting 4 gems is something about losing life. Then return the last creature card from your graveyard to play under your control. Creature against the insect subtype. For 6, I mean, that's good for 6, isn't it? I mean, if you burn that out straight away, you've got a good chance it'll whiff, haven't you? If you just get to 6 loyalty at the start of the game, destroy the top 4 cards, and then see if a card comes out, there's a decent chance it'll whiff. But you can certainly play into it. And as an animation effect, that's very cheap. As an animation effect that, you know, you can just burn out and it might not even whiff. It's very cheap. In the late game, it's not going to whiff at all, isn't it? You can just burn that out as often as you like. Provided you don't want to, I don't know what the ultimate does, but provided you don't want to use the ultimate, I mean, that's extraordinarily cheap for a reanimation effect. What have we got here? Termite Infestation. Destroy up to 3 opposing non-token support cards. Destroy up to 3 opposing non-token support cards at random. That's a lot. 3 is a lot. And Pajami can't even go, well, I'm just filling the board up with my useless token supports, just to hide away my Hixus so you can't get it. Because this thing doesn't care about that. This thing's only looking for the good ones. That is a powerful effect for 9. And you get 6 insect tokens. Now, don't forget what that means is the next creature you cast. After you cast the next creature, after you've put these 6 insect tokens into play, you gain 6 mana. I mean, having a 6/6 in play is not awful, you know? But it's not the most exciting thing in the world. But every time you play a creature from then on, that's 1 mana for each of those reinforcements. Up to 10, of course. So the second time round, you're not getting 12 and then 18. This is pretty nutsy, Grist. I think I really like Grist. Let's see what we've got here. Exile all cards from all graveyards. Okay, I'm going to have to make a mental note that exists for when I'm playing my Ren and 6 deck. Then create X Golgari insect tokens. Deal X damage to your opponent's Planeswalker and you gain X life. X is the number of cards exiled this way. That's not really an ultimate ability, isn't it? That's more kind of a toolbox ability, isn't it, really? I mean, I really feel like you're going to be pumping ability 1 in the late game. If you need to exile your opponent's graveyard, then you can do that. And you can gain life and creatures. But I feel like you're going to be pumping ability 1 in the late game, just madly. Putting massive, massive things into play. That seems like the one to get. Grist seems like the one to get to me. I'm not at all excited by Sorin, who's passable. If you like Sorin, if you like vampires, if you're the type of player who's like, oh yes, I want to play with vampires, then by all means get Sorin. He looks okay. Ral looks okay, although he does not look as okay as Ral is at Viceroy, so why not get that one? But Grist looks like the real deal. I mean, Grist looks I'd be tempted to say that Grist looks better than Garrett Cursed Huntsman in green-black. And Garrett Cursed Huntsman, for the longest time, was the most powerful non-blue planeswalker in the game. We've got a bunch of monos with absolutely ridiculous abilities since then. But Garrett Cursed Huntsman for a non-blue, is extraordinarily powerful. And this might be better. I will be getting this. I will most definitely be getting Grist. Very, very sweet, I think. Mana Burn. I'm not going to read all of this because we've all played it now, haven't we? Suffice to say that Mana Burn is a bit of a swing and a miss, to be perfectly honest. They tried something, but it does not play appreciably differently from events that we already had. So I'm not particularly interested in Mana Burn. Colours of Magic is still one of my favourite events to play, to be perfectly honest. I don't really like the fact that it changes the rules of the game so much, because I'd like to play Magic Puzzle Quest. But given that they're not actually going to spend any time and effort making the AI better, so I'll take it. I'll take Colours of Magic the way it is, and I like it. So I would have liked to have seen something that we could compare and contrast, and that we would like as much as Colours of Magic. And Mana Burn, unfortunately, is not it. But thanks for trying, devs. We don't mind. Shall we just talk, while we're here, shall we just talk about the nerf? They really went overboard, didn't they, with the nerf? I mean, I posted a big, long thing myself on the forum about Galter being the problem. GTA was the problem deck. Obviously, less so now, although still really good. And honestly, I was kind of hoping we could get away without nerfing the entirety of the deck. I even went as far as to say, maybe we can get away without nerfing Blossoming Tortoise. People disagreed with me about that one. And that's fine. I appreciate how powerful Blossoming Tortoise was before. But I mean, they have really chopped the legs off Blossoming Tortoise by not letting it get a creature. Again, still nuts. Seriously, it can still get a desert. It can still get a demolishing field. It's still a very good card, Blossoming Tortoise. Much less good than it was before. Galter, of course. I don't mind it. They didn't do it in the best way, did they? Because you can still sacrifice Galter for famously cut your losses. Goz suggested Reclaim as well, also does it. But yeah, you can play multiple Galters in a turn if you happen to sacrifice the first one. So I don't know if people are doing that, but yeah, to be perfectly honest, Galter's still really good, If you just play your old GTA deck, yeah, and you just, you get a Galter and it gets a big combo and it plays a second Galter and then it stops. You've got a 30-30 creature in play. That's still pretty good, isn't it? And I have been doing that. I have been basically playing the old GTA deck in the training grounds. Well, I haven't altered it at all. And I'm just going, yeah, okay, I've only got the 30-30 creature, but that'll do me. I will attack with it and win. Atraxa. Again, I felt we could have got away without nerfing Atraxa. I appreciate the fact that you used to be able to infinitely combo Atraxa with Brokan, Sarkhan Unbroken, the Planeswalker, but I don't know. You never used to see it everywhere, even though it was possible for ages. Because that's from the one set, of course. So they kind of nerfed everything. Oh, Thunderous Debut was the other one. Some people are saying that they shouldn't have nerfed Thunderous Debut. I think out of all of them, actually, I think Galter was obviously the top thing that needed to be nerfed. I probably would have put Thunderous Debut at number 2. Because it's always going to be better, isn't it, than a more expensive creature, And Webcore obviously want to design powerful creatures like Galter, like Rakdos, and Thunderous Debut is always going to be better to draw than one of those, you know? Because it costs 16. So as long as that's cheaper than the creature, then you're happy. And then you get the choice, don't you? You get the choice of picking what you want. So you've got a toolbox effect of what you want to do. You can go and get your Galter and just get loads of value, or if you need to desperately kill something, you can get a Cityscape Leveler. So yeah, I'm quite on board with nerfing Thunderous Debut. Again, it's still pretty good, to be perfectly honest. And let's face it, GTA, it needed to be busted back down a little bit. You know, there were some games you just couldn't win against GTA. And I appreciate the devs putting the time and effort. For a while, I was thinking to myself, well, they just want to turn the game into a big crapshoot, and they don't mind if every so often you just fucking lose, because, you know, that's the whole Skinner box of the whole deal. They just want you to feel like you could lose at any moment, so go and spend more cash. And it appears they don't necessarily want to do that with the game. So I appreciate that. Shall we head into the game and start going through the actual Puzzle Masters 2 cards? Yes, Steve, let's do that. Okay, let's do it. Now I have got 15 of these so far. You can be envious because in the 15 cards I have managed to pick myself up both a Deem Inferior and an Echoes of Eternity. This is my first pick, can you believe that? My first ever pull from the pack was Echoes of Eternity. I am a lucky, lucky boy. I'm not even sure I want anything else. There's a little doggy who we'll get to that I quite like. But really it was those two cards, the Echoes and the Deem Inferior, that I wanted. So maybe I'll stop buying them for a while now. But yeah, happy to have got those. Let's just, let's go in alphabetical order so we don't get all the cheap ones. It's a bit boring if we get all the cheap ones and all the expensive ones, isn't it? So let's go in alphabetical order. And here we go. Oh, can we turn off the full art ones? Yes, we can turn off the full art ones. Good. Oh no, we can look at let's look at the full art. Let's do that. There we are. That's us looking at the full art. Did we get anything from that experience? No, not really. What have we got? Exile an opposing card with the greatest mana value. Then create a copy of that card in your hand. Well, I mean, right away. That is very sweet, isn't it? No notes, basically. Exiling opposing card with the greatest mana value compares directly to, what's it called? Molten Collapse, cost 9, does the same thing there. And sometimes you do just want to kill something straight away. 12 is a bit expensive if all you want to do is kill something. But if you want to kill something and have a copy of it, 12 is a very, very reasonable cost for that. That is a very good card. A very good card. A very, very, very good card. Should we just wrap the set up now? Let's quit while we're ahead. That's just a really good place to start that. Nice one. Ether Revolt. Wasn't that the name of a set? I'm pretty sure Ether Revolt was the name of the set that came after Kaladesh. When this support enters the board, deal 5 damage to each opposing creature. That's the wrong amount of damage. Any finite amount of damage is the wrong amount of damage. When a creature you control dies, energize 1. Overload 2, deal 5 damage to each opposing target, then ignite 3 gems. Yeah, what that does is not kill the things that you're worried about. You know? It kills some of the. I mean, it Kill some of the little things that you don't care about, but as soon as a tainted adversary comes along, or a pair of Galters comes along, it doesn't kill them, and they hit you in the face, and you die. So, yes. Energize 1, Overload 2. Those are the wrong way round to put those numbers, aren't they? And you're igniting gems as well. Don't you have to... When you match energized gems... Yeah, I'm not sure you can blow it. Who knows? Let's assume you can blow up energized gems and they'll still trigger for Overload 2. I'm still not sure that I care. Yeah, hate it. Puzzle Quest has a damage problem. A damaging creatures problem. And it should be addressed. The only burn spell that's ever been any good is Beacon Bolt. And the reason why Beacon Bolt is good is because it doesn't do a finite amount of damage. You can kill somebody with a few Beacon Bolts, with a handful of Beacon Bolts. Ajani fells the Godsire. Enlist 6 gems. Well, that's a really bad start for 17 mana. That's just piss poor. Yeah, we don't like that. Exile each... Okay, this is better. Exile each opposing creature with power X or less. X is... Yeah, I mean, fuck off. Really? Kill all the crap creatures. There's a reason why Paper Magic doesn't have a card called Wrath of God, but only against crap creatures. So you don't care about the crap creatures. The ones you want to kill are the good ones. I bet there's a Wrath of God in this very set that costs less than 17 and kills everything, and you don't have to wait a turn for it, and it doesn't depend on things on the board. I bet there is. I mean, I can't imagine what stage 3 is going to be to make me care about this card. I reckon it's probably going to put them back into play. But I mean, that's not a very white effect, is it? Let's have a look. Create X Ajani soldier tokens. X the number of enlisted gems on the board. They gain vigilance and prevent damage. No. No. Are we even going to call that high shit tier? I mean, of course we're not. Of course, we don't want to wait. If we're mastering cards, we don't want to wait 3 turns to get some soldier tokens. Are those and they aren't even the same. Oh, presumably those are cat soldiers. I was thinking because they're soldier tokens, they weren't going to be the cat soldiers that Pajami creates. So yeah, okay, maybe Pajami players are going to like that. I very much doubt it. It's rubbish. We move on. When this creature enters the battlefield, energize 4, overload 1, fetch the first card from your library. That card gains X mana. X is the number of energized cards on the board. Now, I look at that and I see a crap card, right? 13 mana, 2/1, energize 4. At the absolute best, you're going to be drawing 4 cards off that. You're going to have to really try hard to draw 4 cards off that. Yeah, energize 4, overload 1. And they're gaining piddling amounts of mana. Now, the Johnnies aren't looking at this card in that way. What they're thinking of is, well, if I'm playing this as part of some kind of combo deck that's constantly energizing more gems and constantly just going through loops, then maybe, I don't know, maybe that just keeps going forever. I kind of feel like it doesn't keep going forever because looping with energize, that's a bit hard, isn't it? Looping with energy, because you can't use gem conversion to loop with energize, can you? Because energize stops a gem conversion happening. You know? So, yeah. So if you want to be looping without gem conversion, what are you doing? What, omnipresence? Well, if you're doing omni, then we've got plenty of loopy options already, thank you, that don't require you to. In fact, yeah, that's the thing actually, is that, yeah, if you're not looping by affecting the board, this is worthless, isn't it? Because you're never getting that overload 1. Piece of shit then. Moving on. Amphibian Downpour. Oh, I've got this one actually. Yeah, look at that. I do not own this card. I own this card. When an opposing non-token creature enters the battlefield, destroy that card. I mean, that's a nice, powerful effect. This is basically a lot of turn to frogs. I know this. Then create a frog token under your opponent's control. At the end of your turn, if your opponent controls a token named frog, this support loses 1 shield. Okay, so we know that there's, coming up later on, there is a Insidious Will. We'll get to it. That sits in play and prevents things. And yeah, this is sitting in play and just casting a lot of turn to frogs. Now, if you play it, your opponent doesn't have any creatures. Oh, I mean, of course, yes. If you play it and your opponent does have creatures, well, then you're too late, aren't you? If your opponent has already played 2 Galters, then this isn't going to turn them into frogs. Of course, if you play this first and your opponent plays Galters, they do still trigger. They do come into play. It would be nice, wouldn't it, if they came into play as frogs rather than coming into play, triggering their coming into play effects and then turning into frogs. So, in fact, by turning it into a frog, you may have just enabled your opponent's GTA deck again. Because he can then play multiple Galters and they will all trigger. But you know, it's okay. You can play it. It sits in play. It's not going to go away until your opponent starts playing a creature. It doesn't lose a shield unless your opponent plays a frog at the end of their turn. And it doesn't lose 1 shield per creature. It could kill a bunch of creatures in a single turn, and then it only loses 1 shield. And then at the end, we've got Mana Field as well. Look at this. Drain X mana from the first 2 cards in your opponent's hand. I mean, there's a lot there, isn't there? We've got creature kill there. And we've got some drain from the first 2 cards in your opponent's hand. Now, I mean, if this card just had the Mana Field effect, I would think it was fairly garbage. But it doesn't, does it? That's a good one. I'm not sure it's for me. I want to kill things that are already there, please. I'm not sure this is a card for me, but I think this might be somebody's favourite card, to be perfectly honest. You know? It's preventing things coming into play. And it's preventing Greg casting cards as well. You know? I tend to think if I get ahead in a game, I'm gonna win any game I can get ahead in. The games that I'm worried about, the games that I get behind in. And I'm not sure this is a very good card if you get behind. Your opponent has already done the Galter by the time you play this. I'm not sure it's great, but I think somebody's going to really like this card. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good card. It's probably not for me. What do we got here? When the support enters the board, energize 2. That's not a lot. The beginning of combat on your turn, energize 1. Still feels like, having played with energize in the past and knowing that you needed a Dynavolt tower basically to get any amount of fucking energize on the board at all, you know, 2 + 1 every turn does not sound like a lot to me. Overload 3. Yeah, look at that. Destroy a random support. If you can't destroy a random opposing creature, then draw 2 cards. Mind you, look at that. Overload 3. The problem is that Overload 3 is a lot, isn't it? You could put this into a Dynavolt. I mean, Dynavolt Tower still exists. You can put this into a Dynavolt Tower deck. You know, you can try and fill the board with energized gems. The problem is that big number, isn't it? Overload 3. That's probably too big. Have fun playing with that one, peeps, but I'm pretty sure you will discover that Overload 3 as a number is too big. I mean, if it was Overload 1, it would be broken as fuck, wouldn't it? So I get it. I get why they've made it a big number. Maybe they tested it at Overload. Tested it! Webcore testing cards. Oh dear. I make myself laugh sometimes. What have we got here? We've got some alt art. Yeah, I don't know why we kept the alt art on. I'm not generally an alt art looking at kind of guy. What have we got? Activate 1 black. 1 black. This creature gains hexproof. 1 black. It's a 16 mana 4/4 with lifelink. Let's hope this is good. Activate blue 1. Create a copy of a random non-token support card you control in your hand. Okay, so I'm playing this. I've got a support in my hand. Let's say it's really good. Let's say it's like an Assimilation Aegis. Yeah? Or, I don't know, a one with a multiverse. Or a Teferi Hero of Dominaria. It gains X mana. When this creature attacks, your creature's gains +X +X. X is equal to the highest base power among creatures you control. I mean, the problem is 1, isn't it? There's a few problems with this card, and they're all numbers, aren't they? Yeah, 16's too much, 4's too small, and 1 is way too small. So, I don't like it. I mean, yeah, definitely high shit tier, yeah? Because that's attacking as an 8/8 with lifelink. Definitely high shit tier. But as far as tournament play goes, nope. Ashling Flame Dancer, that's an old card, isn't it? I'm pretty sure it's a very old card. When you cast a spell card, ignite 2 gems. Okay. Now, I don't think, if you were to, like, play a loopity-loopy deck, yeah, I don't think if you just kept igniting gems, I don't think they would form matches, would they? I don't think that's how ignite gems work. I'm pretty sure. I think ignite gems, they stay the colour that they are. So I'm not sure matches are going to be made by you igniting. Then, if there are 6 or more ignited gems on the board, you gain 8 mana. Okay, so this very much does look like a combo piece, doesn't it? So whenever you cast a spell card, see what that nearly says, it nearly says when you cast a spell card, gain 8 mana. And obviously, if when you cast a spell card, gain 8 mana, that would set the Johnny combo players absolutely salivating. You know? You've still got to draw, but that's not a problem for the Johnnies because they would just play with a lot of cards that draw anyway. You know? I don't think Wizard class draws, does it? Wizard class doesn't draw. Yeah, Wizard class just gains mana, so you play with cards that draw. But I do think you're going to run into problems if you try and use this as a damage card, because I think if you do fill up the entire deck with Ignite 2, the way that the then clause works, then : that means you have to ignite 2 gems. So it is possible that after you've ignited the entire board, this will stop gaining mana. Whether that means it's unreliable as a damage, as a combo piece. It's not a damage cog. It's a combo piece. I don't know, but this is definitely has got big combo piece energy. You can probably build a combo deck with this. When you match 1 or more ignited gems, deal 2 damage to each opposing target. Then draw a card. I mean, there are certainly spell cards that give you extra swaps, aren't there? That's what I'm thinking. I'm sure the combo players out there are way ahead of... Yeah, okay, Grandad, well done. Oh, is that... You're going to play with Temporal Mastery, are you, Grandad? Oh, well done. Oh, you're going to play with Stitch in Time? Yeah, go and get your Stitches in Time from the cellar. Go on, Grandad, don't fall down the stairs when you go. I'm sorry, I'm not a very good combo player. But, yeah, it does seem to have potential. To me, as a combo piece, I am not much of a combo player. But it looks... I think it'll be a decent one. Yeah, won't it? I think so. Benthic Anomaly. It just sounds like it's going to be awful, doesn't it? Something about it. Even though it's a masterpiece, something about the name Benthic Anomaly. I think it's the fact that I lived through what was the first Battle for Zendikar was the first Zendikar set. Zendikar Rising was the second Zendikar set. And all of the Eldrazi, with the exception of Drowner, they all kind of sucked, didn't they? I think that's why I think because it's an Eldrazi, I think it will suck. I mean, Emrakul's an Eldrazi. Emrakul remains one of the better legacy creatures, doesn't it? But I'm just expecting this one to suck. It's just how it is. When this creature enters the battlefield, create X Eldrazi tokens. Ooh, say all of us. Ooh, Eldrazi Scions. Yes, please. I'd like to create a lot of Eldrazi Scion tokens. And then we notice they aren't Eldrazi Scion tokens. It's a 10/10. X 10. We're creating X 10/10s. Okay, well maybe this isn't going to suck after all. X is the number of opposing creatures, but without counting reinforcements. Okay, so you're not just going to go crazy against Pajami. Oh, imagine that. Pajami would wet himself, wouldn't he? If he'd putting out his 1/1 cat tokens and then you go, oh, there you go, have 4 10/10s. When this creature dies or loses a reinforcement, ingest all gems of your opponent's colours. That's not especially interesting. So, I mean, the very definition of high shit tier. I mean, this is high shit tier. Yeah, I'm not sure this is. I'm not sure this is as good as God shit tier though. God shit tier, you'll remember, we had to create because Aclazots. Yeah, I just took one look at Aclazots and I was like, nah, you can kill it. It's a 17 mana 4/4. You can just kill it. But you know, I had to begrudgingly admit that even though you can just kill it, you know, it is quite good. It is better than high shit tier. And even if you do kill it in the wrong way, there's plenty of right ways to kill it. But if you kill it in the wrong way, it does turn into a land and then come back. So God shit tier for Aclazots. This is just high shit tier, I think. I did go looking for, in fact, I asked ChatGPT. I was looking for more tiers for shit tier, because more sub tiers for shit tier. Obviously, shit tier is a whole category of in and of itself. And just eventually decided that I was looking for I asked it for short 1-syllable words, so I could have another tier somewhere between high shit tier and mid shit tier, and between mid shit and low shit tier. But we couldn't find one in the end. Couldn't find any good description. But we eventually landed on just having high shit tier and low high shit tier. So I like that. So that's what we're doing in future. I'm not sure there's a low god shit tier and a high god shit tier. I think there is just god shit tier. But I'm not sure yet. It's early days. We'll make it up as we're going along. This is definitely high shit tier. This is going to be a very good card to be mastering, isn't it? You're going to be fine mastering this. But I'm just not sure that you're actually going to want to play with it in a... I mean, maybe. I don't know. Some people do. It's the fact that you have to let your opponent get things. And that's not my style. I'm a control player. I'm not a combo player. As I explained earlier, this is my what I say about combo decks is always a little bit ropey, but I am a control player. And so in order to get good value out of Benthic Anomaly, you have to let your opponent get some creatures. And as a control player, I don't like to let Greg get some creatures because they might be good. What am I going to do? I'm just going to let him play a couple of Galters, am I? I'm just going to let him play a Tainted Adversary. Yeah, just going to let him play a Huntmaster of the Fells. Just have it hanging around for a while. And then I'm going to play my Benthic Anomaly. I don't think so. So high shit tier is as good as I'm going to give that one. Bespoke Battle Wagon. Crew 4. Now what's crew again? That is when you play a creature, non-token creature, This card gains 4 mana. Okay, not particularly interesting. At the beginning of your turn, energize 3. Okay, that's a fair amount. Is it? Is that a fair amount? The beginning of your turn? For 17 mana, though, maybe not. I mean, that's not pumping out nearly as many energized gems as a Dynavolt Tower, is it? Overload 1, draw a card. Yeah, whatever. It's not gaining any mana. Overload 2, disable an opposing creature at random. Okay. Overload 3, get a living construct. I'm sure we've seen that before, yeah? That's the fabricating thing. I think living construct, I think, is what pt2 creates, isn't it? The Planeswalker pt2? I think he creates living constructs. I thought they were bigger than that. Overload 1. Fabricate 1. That's probably why I think they're bigger than that, because they fabricate 1 every turn. It looks like a lot of words to me. I'm not excited by this card, so I'm not going to say anything else about it. Moving on. Birthing Ritual. I mean, that's quite stellar, actually. I like that art. It's a bit crazy, that art, but I kind of like it. Let's see what we've got. Birthing Ritual. Do you think Birthing Ritual is based on Birthing Pod? Birthing Pod they had to ban in Modern, in paper, eventually. Birthing Pod was an attempt to make a Survival of the Fittest that was less broken. How did that work out for you, eh? It always happens. In paper, they're always doing this. They're like, oh no, Demonic Tutor's too broken. Let's make a balanced version of it. Nope, still broken. There's Demonic Consultation, still broken. Diabolic Tutor, still broken. You know, they do it all the time. And I think, yeah, Birthing Ritual, Birthing Pod, I'm sorry. Yeah. Still broken. Anyway, this is, in fact, a different card. When the support enters the board, seed 4 gems. Oh, we can actually have a look what they do, can't we? When a seed gem is destroyed, gain 1 mana for each creature you control, including their reinforcements. I thought you got life off seed gems as well. That must be a specific card that gives you life. Maybe it's a specific card that gives you life. At the end of your turn, pick and fetch one of the first 4 cards from your library. Okay, we're liking this. When a creature you control dies for the first time during your turn, move the last creature card from your hand to play under your control. Then your creatures gain leyline. Right. I mean, there's so many good words there, but they're all kind of in the wrong place, aren't they? You know, what we want to do, what we'd like to do is pick and fetch one of the first 4 cards from my library, yeah, and put it into play. But there's this whole sentence in the middle that fucks it up that says, when a creature you control dies for the first time during your turn. So for 18 mana, I'm going to call that one shit. What does Leyline do? Match 3 or more green gems, +X, X the number of green gems on the board. I mean, yeah, okay, Leyline is a fairly powerful ability. But, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and call that shit, I'm afraid. Because it's just not, for 18 mana, to put a card into your hand and not put any mana in it, that's just not good enough in 2024, I'm afraid. If you're going to put a card, if you're going to pay 18 mana for a support, and it's going to go and fetch something from a library or draw something from a library, it's going to have to put some mana in it, or it's just not going to make the cut. Bloodstained Mire. Right, there's a whole bunch of these lands and they all suck! I don't quite get it. I don't quite get it. I mean, you can see what they've tried to do here, yeah? The fetch lands in paper, they sacrifice themselves to get a land and put that land into play. Yeah, so they've tried to do that because they're stupid and they haven't realised that we've got activated abilities now. We've got them on disguise creatures. We've got them on vanguards. We can have activated abilities in the game. Thank you. That you have control over. And you can choose when you sacrifice them. No. This one just slowly ticks down itself, you know, and nothing's under your control. You know, you're getting a land of your specific choice with a fetch land in paper. With these, you're just getting the next land in your deck. What's that you say? The next land in your deck might be another fucking copy of this card? I know, right? That'd be shit. That would suck, wouldn't it? So, and then they've loaded mana field onto this, which is weird. Like, that's just, you're just making the land more swingy then, you know? And lands are pretty random anyway. You put them into play, you convert a certain number of gems. That's your basic land mechanic in Magic Puzzle Quest. That's pretty random anyway, but it evens out over the course of the game. But they've hidden the gem conversion now behind mana field. Yeah? And we all know that mana field is not entirely reliable. It might be. You might have a really great game with mana field. Hooray! Yeah? We all have games like that, don't we? We put a Mox Emerald in our deck, and it plays a Galta. Boom! And we win! Yeah? And it does it again on the next game, and it keeps doing it, and we're so excited, and it does not take long, does it? Does not take long for that mana field to go into the corner. And that's not the end of the world if it does, but I would always just much rather have a land. I quite like Mana Crypt, okay? Fair enough. I like Mana Crypt because it does the land thing as well. I can hedge my bets with a Mana Crypt. Yeah? Because I can dump all of it. I trigger the mana field and dump a load of mana into a Galta or a Golden Wish. I can do that, but it also might just create some cascades on its own, even if it lands in a corner or somewhere inaccessible and the board is rubbish. Mana field is unreliable. So we've got this unreliable effect of converting gems. That's hidden behind another unreliable effect of mana field. Fetch the first land support in your library. That card gains X mana. X is half the number of red and black gems on the board rounded down. So it's probably not going to pay for the land that it's putting out. And it might be a good land, yeah? But it might be another copy of this card, in which case you think to yourself, well, I've wasted my time or wasted a whole turn. At the end of your turn, this support loses 1 shield, deal 2 damage to your planeswalker. Okay, so we don't really much care about the damage. And theoretically, you get 2 lands out of this. In fact, you always do, you know, when this support loses shield. So it's always going to go and fetch 2 lands from your deck. But one of them's probably going to be another one of these. It's a very, very unreliable land. And there's a lot of words on that card. Here's an idea. Why not write the words, the start of your turn, convert 4 gems to your planeswalker's colours. Why not write that on the card, yeah? Clue lands are great. We love clue lands. I mean, I wouldn't be seen dead playing clue land in a coalition event anymore. Not now desert exists. Desert is a problem. We need to do something about desert. But clue lands are great. Clue lands are objectively great. They just get completely hosed down by a completely broken card. But that doesn't stop them being great. Make more things like that. Don't make these things. Nobody likes these. There are 5 of these fucking things in the set, these fetch lands, and nobody likes them. Brain Surge. Pick up to the first 2. Oops. Pick up to 2 of the first 4 cards from your library. Fetch those cards. Right, we're going to be wanting some mana, please. Then convert 3 gems to improve gems of the match colour. The first, I see the words full mana coming up. The first card in your hand of each colour that has an improved gem on the board gains full mana. Honestly, I don't quite know how this is going to work. Let's just go through this. So if I pick another blue card, obviously I want another blue card. Because blue's the best colour. Yeah, I cast this, I pick a blue card and a black card, yeah? Oh, convert 3 gems to the matched colour. So it's talking about... I don't think we've ever seen this terminology before. So we're going to assume it's talking about what colour you matched with your swap on your turn. What's that you say? What happens if you get an extra swap? Don't worry about it. just don't worry about it. It's not a problem. There's no need to think about the rules. Just fucking spend money on the game, you plebs. Stop thinking, stop trying to imagine what cards might do. Just give us your goddamn money. We don't even bother to make cards work. That's our little secret. We don't even put any time and effort into testing them anyway. So you trying to figure out what they do is wasting your time, is wasting our time, Steve. Just give us your goddamn money! So, we've done a black match, we've fetched a couple of cards. We convert 3 gems to improved gems of the matched colour. So if we've got a black match, we're converting 3 gems. I'm assuming we're converting 3 black gems into corrupt gems. Is that what it's saying? I don't even know if corrupt gems can be... See, I'm starting to think about this. We were talking earlier today, we were talking about the fact that ignite gems. I was saying I wasn't sure if when you ignite gems, if they stay... I thought they stayed the same colour and become ignited, but I don't think they do they? Because that's the whole reason why Pajami, that is Ajani Invigorate Leadership, or the Planeswalker, he's always converting gems, isn't he? So I'm thinking that maybe when you ignite these gems, they do turn red and you might end up getting a load of matches, and this might be just like a really good card, but still doesn't necessarily... draw. Oh no, it does draw, doesn't it? Because, oh well, this might be completely broken then. Because it doesn't say you have to match with swap. So maybe it does. Maybe if you, once you start looping spells with this, you know, maybe the ignite gems, they all turn red slowly and the board turns red, and then you get matches, and then you start getting cascades, and so maybe this is really good. I don't know. Anyway, we're moving on. So if we made a black match, we're getting 3 black corrupt gems. The first card in your hand of each colour that has an improved gem on the board gains full mana. I don't know. There's 2 ways to look at this card. The first one is I'm going to fetch 2 cards from my deck, and then a card in my hand of my choice is going to get... This is how I'm going to collapse it down to make it easy for me to understand what it does. A card in my hand of my choice gets full mana. Is that good for 14 mana? It's okay for 14 mana. Yeah, we're fetching 2 things, we're giving something full mana. I mean, it's all right. I don't know. It's all right. It's a bit hit the mother loady like that, isn't it? But it does give it full mana. It is going off. I mean, maybe you can even loot this damn thing. Who knows? I can't get my head around it. And then I'm starting to wonder then, like, what happens if you fetch... no, you can't. So I was starting to wonder what happens if you fetch, like, if you put multicolored cards into the mix, but you never match more than... No, that's not true. You can match more than one colour. Obviously, you can make 2 matches at the same time. If you get a cascade, of course, that doesn't count as matching multiple colours. Or maybe it does. Who knows? Just buy the cards, Steve. Just spend your money on the cards. Stop thinking about what they do. We don't give a shit what they do. Just spend your fucking money. I really don't know. I'd have to play with it. Maybe it's good. It seems hard to loop, doesn't it? Like I say, you can collapse it down and say, well, maybe when you cast it, you know, you basically fetch 2 cards and then something that you want gets full mana. But during a loop, that's not going to be easy to do, is it? The thing that gets full mana during an actual loop is going to be difficult to engineer. And I mean, and who knows? If you do multiple swaps in a turn, who even knows what happens? I'd have to play with it. I'd have to play with it. Let's move on, because I'm spending too long shouting at this card for not being able to understand what it does. At the end of your turn, says Charitable Levy, increase the cost of all spell and support cards in your opponent's hand and graveyard by 1. Ooh. Now, I don't know. Maybe there's some important reason why that's really great. Maybe that even stops Omni. Do you know what I mean? Yeah? Maybe Omni reduces the cost of everything to 0 and this increases it back to 1. And maybe it stops Omni decks. I don't know. But in a vacuum, that sounds terrible, doesn't it? When you match an enlisted gem by swap, convert 2 gems to it sounds terrible. I don't know. Maybe it stops Omni. I'm not sure. Even if it does, I don't think I like it anyway. Chthonian Nightmare. Is that a Magic the Gathering word? To me, that sounds like it already exists, Chthonian. Yeah? Yeah, it actually sounds like a Lovecraftian thing. It sounds like something from outside the game of Magic. I don't know. Anyway. Oh, we can see what corrupt gems do. When a player corrupts, I already don't care. When the support enters the board, corrupt 3 gems. Then return the first creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. For 15 mana. That's quite expensive for 15 mana. That's fair. I mean, it's not expensive, but it's fair. You know, you're not getting much of a discount. Really, are you? Especially considering you're not getting any choice of what you're resurrecting. When you match a corrupted gem by swap, return this card to your hand. It gains half its mana. Okay, so that's interesting. So you play it, you corrupt some gems, you reanimate something for 15. And then later on, you match one of your corrupted gems. Has to be a corrupted gem, not just an improved gem. This comes back to your hand, and then you can reanimate something else for 8 later on. I mean, I don't care, but maybe somebody does. That's all I've got to say about that, I think. Coalition Victory. Now, this one is exclusive, isn't it? So I believe you can't actually get this one out of boosters. I believe that's true. Let's see what we've got. Spree 1, your opponent discards 3 cards. Well, it does cost 25, so we're going to want to do more than that. Spree 3, exile all opposing creatures. Right. Spree 5, create a victory banner. Oops. Victory banner. What time have we got? Sorry, I'm just quietly choking away. Victory banner. At the end of your turn, the last 4 cards in your hand gain full mana. I mean, clearly that's good. But in order to get that, when you make a match 5, draw 5 cards. Okay. So, yes, clearly the last 4 cards in your hand gaining full mana is pretty powerful. But in order to get that, you've got to get Spree 5 and pay 25 mana. Yeah? And if you're getting Spree 5 and 25 mana, I mean, I really feel like you're just looping and winning, aren't you? That to me just sounds like you're playing a loopy deck. And why aren't you? Why are you then going, well, I'm now going to take a lot of turns in which I put mana into my cards. Why don't you just go, and there is a beacon bolt to the face, good game, game over. Yeah? So I don't like it. We move on. I've done this to myself by shouting, haven't I? Spree 1, destroy an opposing non-token support at random. Too expensive at 13, but there's more. Spree 2, your first creature gets +3/+3 and Leyline. Okay, now we know about Leyline. That's making things quite large. Oh dear, I've really got to stop shouting. I've got to remember that I'm an old man now. A bit weird that you get +3/+3 and Leyline, but you know, okay. Spree 3, your creatures gain vigilance and prevent damage till the beginning of your next turn. Now, Spree 3 is just a bit much. I mean, I've played with some Spree cards myself. I'm not a Johnny Combo player, but it's not too hard to get Spree 2. It's pretty easy to get Spree 2. You have to throw some lands in, and no, not shitty lands like Bloodstained Mire that might not even trigger. Throw some clue lands in your deck, you know, or get a Cascade. Pretty easy to get Spree 2. You know, you can hold off casting a card for a turn or two. You can just turn it off, wait until you've got Spree 2. It's going to turn up this turn or the next turn, most likely. Spree 3, not necessarily. You know, you can turn the card off and wait for it to turn up. It just might take a bit longer to get Spree 3. So, I mean, pulling in different directions as well, isn't it? Destroying a support and also supporting the creatures that you have in play that this card hasn't created itself. I don't like it. We move on. Consuming Corruption. Corrupt 2 gems. This has got Buried 21. That's a lot, isn't it? 11. Corrupt 2 gems deals X damage to X target. X is the number of black gems. Right, so incredibly unreliable then. You gain 3 life and 2 mana for each corrupted gem on the board. It's 11. This is the type of card you can play in Colours of Magic. It's being rare and costing 11. Do we care about it? Jeez, look at that. Flashback. It's got flashback and a buried cost of 21. I mean, who designed that? It feels like there's a fucking misprint going on there. 21 doesn't even divide by 2. Doesn't it feel like there's a misprint going on there? Let's just have a quick look and see what Corrupt does. When a player corrupts a gem, the first card with blah, 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 blah. Yeah, obviously we're gaining mana. I'm going to try really hard to concentrate on what the fuck this does. Gains Buried X, where X is equal to the card's base mana cost. First card without Buried gains Buried X. Oh, well, that's no good for this card, is it? Because this card has Buried. It has a buried cost of 21. When a player destroys a corrupted gem, it gains 3 mana to the first card with... It gives 3 mana to the first card with Buried in their graveyard that can gain mana. If one or more corrupted gems can't gain mana, loses 3 life. Right. I mean, it's just shit, isn't it? That is just a shit card. I don't know why we're spending time and effort figuring out what it does. When this card enters the battlefield, exile a random card from your graveyard. Okay, this is an 18 mana, 8/8 defender. That's pretty high shit tier, isn't it? In fact, that's low high shit tier. In fact, that might even be high mid shit tier. Exile a random card. When this creature dies, return a random card from your exile to your hand. It gains 4 mana. I mean, I don't think it's mid-shit tier, but it's not much better than high mid-shit tier. It's pretty fucking terrible. Let's move on. I mean, no, all right, no, it's not terrible. It's mid, but mid's not good enough. Deem inferior. Here we go. I've got this one. Look at that. You do not own this card. You do own this card, and I am very happy about it, to be perfectly honest. When you draw a card during your turn, if this card is in your hand, reduce this card's cost by 1 until the beginning of your next turn. Return each opposing creature to the top of its owner's library. 12 mana. Flash. I mean, what's wrong with this card? There's nothing wrong with this card, is there? I mean, it might do a thing. I'm not sure. It might do a thing where you end up, you fill it up with mana, you put it in your hand, and then its cost gets reduced. And then at the start of your turn, its cost gets increased again. And that means you have to keep putting more mana into it to make sure you can cast it. That might happen to this card. I don't know. But really, the bottom line is that this is a 12 mana Engulf the Shore? Engulf the Shore? Yeah? It's a one-sided creature board sweep. They're all going on top of your opponent's deck, so you're not losing card advantage. It's got flash. It's insane. Yes, please. Again, probably too good, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, Greg's going to be able to cast this at you, don't forget. You always have to remember that. It's going to be hard for Greg to cast this at you because he doesn't cast spells, does he? He always casts his creatures first. But sometimes he's going to cast this at you. And if you're relying on your creatures, you're probably going to lose because of it. So watch out for that. It's very, very powerful. It's obviously way above the curve. Not sure why they've printed it. Yes, I will be playing with it. This will probably be going straight. I've only just got this today, and it will probably be going straight into my tip-top tier 1 coalition deck straight away. I've been playing push-pull in that deck, and I might get rid of push-pull for this. Obviously, there's slight differences between killing all your opponent's creatures and putting all of your opponent's creatures on top of the library. One might say that killing all your opponent's creatures is better. But I'm not sure that it necessarily is a lot of the time. So I'm going to be playing with this. It's too good. Depth Defiler. When this card enters the battlefield, ingest 6. At the beginning of your turn, process 3. Right. So we've got ingest 6 and then process 3. So that probably means it's only going to trigger once, isn't it? Off the ingest 6. Some of those ingest gems are they're void gems, aren't they, that come off ingest? Yeah. Some of those ingest gems are probably going to not be there by the time it gets around to triggering the second time. So it's probably going to only trigger once, unless... Oh, that's got it. I'm like Bob Fleming off the Fast Show. Return each opposing creature with toughness 6 or more to the top of its opposing owner's library. Then discard a card and draw 2 cards. Yeah? Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah? I mean, yeah, okay. In the abstract, maybe this triggers twice. And of course, there's nothing to stop you putting more void gems. We can use any one of the many, many cards that we all know about that put void gems into play, that we all love playing with. Yeah? Many, many. Yeah? We haven't seen any ingesting cards yet, haven't we? There might be some more in the set. Who knows? So you might be able to put this in play, and it just keeps triggering. But, what you've got here is a card that might put creatures on top of your opponent's library. And then what you've got here is a card that does creatures on top of your opponent's library. And I know which one I'm playing with. Detectives Phoenix. At the beginning of your turn, investigate. Oh, it's another one of these. We had endless ones of these, didn't we? In not OTJ, MKM. These 15 mana creatures that investigated every turn. However, maybe there is some more to this. Ignite 2 gems. Okay, yeah. When you match 1 or more ignited gems, if this card is in your graveyard, return it to the battlefield. Now, if I was designing this card, I would make it ignite gems from the battlefield. From the graveyard, yeah? So when it died, when it was in your graveyard, it would start igniting gems at the start of your turn. That would give you a little bit of an advantage because there'd be ignite gems on the board that you get the chance to pop. And then also the ignite gems would put the Phoenix into play. That would be easier to get excited about, wouldn't it? I don't like the way they've done it here. It has to be in play to create the gems, and then after it's died, then it can come back. It's not as clean, is it? Not as good. What I'm saying is I'm the best Magic Puzzle Quest designer in the entire world. That's what I'm basically saying there. Then collect evidence 2. If evidence was collected, reinforce this creature 3 times. But that's only when it comes into play, though, isn't it? From the graveyard. Then, yeah? When you match 1 or more, blah, 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 then collect evidence 2. So it doesn't do the collect evidence 2 clause unless it popped up from your graveyard into play. And if it's been in your graveyard, it's not been spending time putting clues on the board. So it's not created enough clue gems to collect evidence. And clue gems all vanish anyway, don't they? Because clue gems are the one simple token that just vanish on their own, of their own accord. So, no, I'm not interested. What have we got here? 13 mana spell. Exile an opposing support at random. This can affect vanguards. If you can't, exile an opposing creature at random. Right. I mean, it's nice, isn't it? We do like cards that get rid of both supports and also creatures. But it kind of has to do it the other way around, because this thing is just going to hit one of Pajami's token supports, isn't it? And then you're going to be like, well, I've just wasted 13 mana putting the card into play. If that card is not colourless, gain X mana. X is that card's base mana cost. Overflow, ingest 3. Well, now that's not good, is it? Hang on a second. There we were. Overflow, ingest 3. Then the first creature card in your hand gets +3/+3. Now we have to get rid of the card if we overflow. Yeah? So it's not particularly interesting that we're ingesting 3. I mean, we hate ingesting, don't we? That's not worth a whole card, ingest 3. And then creature in your hand gets +3/+3 and gains the void. Yeah, don't like it. Sorry. The whole overflow thing, it's a bad overflow effect. And it's a reasonable creature removal effect, but it's not going to make the cut. Most of the time, it's not going to make the cut because it hits a support first and then a creature. Colourless. It is a colourless spell. So, yeah, probably not good enough. Probably not good enough. I think it's this sparkling water that's doing it. I need to go and get myself. Stay here. I'm not going to take my tablet into the kitchen, because if I take my tablet into the kitchen, I'm going to lose my signal. Stay here. I'll be right back. I got some still water. Maybe that'll help me throat, eh? Well, who's even going to come and watch my reviews if I can't shout? That's my USP. What am I going to do if I can't shout? The end of your turn, if this card is in your hand, increases level by 2. The beginning of your turn, decrease this card's level by 1. This creature gets +2/+2. So I'm going to assume that decreasing the level by 1 and it getting +2/+1 is something that only happens when it's in play. We're going to assume that the first clause, that the being in your hand is the only, the increasing your level by 2 is the only thing that happens when it's in your hand. So as a 7/5 of 14, it gets a bit bigger. When its level becomes 1, destroy this card. When this card is cast, proliferate. Does that increase its level? I bet it bloody doesn't. It just says, oh dear me. Yeah, proliferates you. And it is going to buff itself, but it hasn't buffed itself yet, has it? Proliferate. I bet Proliferate did something clever on the paper version. Not so much on this card. It's kind of pointless. Yeah, we don't like it. It's just a big body. Level cards that you hold in your hand and they get better as you go along and then you cast them later, they're always shit, aren't they? And all this is a large body, and it's not even that large. We don't care. Next, Echoes of Eternity. Okay, yeah, bit of bismuth going on there in the background. Echoes of Eternity. I have this one. This card is clearly a problem. I don't know what they were thinking with this card. When you cast a colourless card or a card with the void, create a copy of that card in your hand. Now, the smart thing to do would have been to say, when you cast a non-copy colourless card, because this thing just goes round and round and round and round in circles. And not only that, it actually generates mana as well. That card gains X mana. X is the number of improved gems on the board. So it is possible that this is a one-card looping engine. Yeah? People have, in fact, built decks with this and with, just a single cheap colourless spell that just goes around and around and around. And I think there is a colourless spell that deals damage to your opponent, isn't there? It doesn't. This card doesn't create a lot of improved gems. It's going to create a crystallized gem later on, as we'll see, but they're not very stable on the board. They tend to get popped because they are wild gems. So, yeah, I don't really know what they were thinking, just making a card that, just endlessly copies cards and gives them mana. It's a terrible, terrible idea. You can do things like copy Sunken Citadel, and I do that. And if you're lucky, it'll loop for a while, your Sunken Citadel. They're going to have to fix that. Don't get too attached to that part of the card, is what I'm saying, because it's ludicrous. They're going to have to fix it. The thing that interests me is the control part of the card. I'm less interested in the combo part of the card. I put this card in my deck, so the control part of the card. I mean, yes, okay, I do the Sunken Citadel thing as well, but I like the demolishing field aspect of it, which is this: at the start of your turn, crystallize up to 1 target support. So you select one of your opponent's supports at the start of your turn and blow it up, and then that turns into a crystallized gem, which is a wild gem, basically. And then when you match a crystallized gem, create a copy in your hand of a random colourless card you control. So if you weren't getting enough copies in the first place, it's going to give you some more copies of colourless cards. I mean, you're going to get plenty of copies of Echoes of Eternity from this. This thing's giving you so many copies of so many of your colourless cards. It's very silly. As I say, I'm basically playing it as a demolition field. Because honestly, I do find, even though demolition field is completely broken, there is always a possibility coming up against Bajami that he is going to hide his dangerous supports amidst a cloud of token supports. So against Bajami, being able to pick out the specific support you want to blow up, rather than just blowing up a bunch of them, is better, in fact. So this is, I have been playing with this. This is very tier 1. As I say, obviously the combo effect is broken. Even without the combo effect, just blowing up a support every turn of your choice, very, very powerful. I mean, I would say chase it, but no, don't attempt to chase anything in this set. That way madness lies. It's too big. You're going to have to spend 10 grand on this set to buy all of it, aren't you? Isn't that true? I think somebody worked out you had to spend 10 grand on this set to buy all of it. I don't know. But yeah, my point is, it's good, but don't chase anything in the set. Just buy some, whenever you can afford it, buy some, and hope it turns up. Ella Damri. Oh, Ella Damri, there is a blast from the past, isn't it? Ella Damri was back in Wrath Cycle. There was a card called Ella Damri's Vineyard, and you used to be able to give your opponent mana with it. And if you were lucky, and I managed this in a tournament, you could kill them with mana burn, which is a fun thing to do. I enjoyed doing that. This is an 18 mana 3/3, but I bet this is Leyline, isn't it? Yes. So it's not really an 18 mana 3/3. It's probably a lot bigger than that. It's more like, it's probably an 18 mana 12/12, to be perfectly honest, isn't it? There's going to be at least 4 or 5 green gems on the board. There's probably going to be about 9 green gems on the board. Let's call it a 10/10, an 18 mana 10/10. So it's a fairly decent sized body. What else do we have? When a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, seed a gem. Okay. When you trigger Leyline, you may have this creature gain can't attack. Oh, well, I don't really want to do that if I triggered Leyline. So when you match 3 gems, you can have this creature gain can't attack. If you do, fetch the first creature card from your library and move it onto play under your control. So when you get a green match for the first time during your turn, you fetch the first creature card from your library and put it into play. Now, if that's an Ella Damri, that's a bit crap, isn't it? Because then you are getting an 18 mana 3/3, yeah? If I get a second copy of Ella Damri and put it out, the first copy gets full advantage from that Leyline ability, pumping it up. So I'm getting an 18 mana 10/10, yeah? But the second copy that I get, I'm just giving it +3/+3. So that's not so great. But that is quite powerful, isn't it? Get any green match and fetch a creature and plop it into play. Are people excited about that? Are the types of people who think that Blossoming Tortoise is absolutely worthless now? Are they getting excited about Ella Damri? Probably not, but I don't know, maybe. I mean, you wouldn't mind, would you, getting a green match and having a Galta Sprig into play? You wouldn't mind that at all, would you? Then, reinforce each creature you control. Well, you really wouldn't mind getting a Galta then in that case. Yeah. Green match, plop, Galta comes into play, triggers, big match, and reinforces. Otherwise, seed a gem. What does it mean, otherwise? Is that otherwise? Right, I see. It's otherwise can't attack, yeah? So you trigger the light, you get a green match. If you want to, you can fetch something and everything reinforces. That is quite powerful. But if you want this card to attack, which you might because it's got Leyline, then you get to seed a gem. which is a bit poo. So you're basically wanting to be fetching creatures, I think, with this, aren't you? So it's okay. I'm not excited. Maybe the Johnnies like it. No, this isn't a Johnny card. This is a Timmy card, isn't it? I've got my psychographics. My player psychographics messed up. This is a Timmy card. This is for playing big, splashy things. It seems a bit unreliable for my liking, but it's, you know, it's kind of high shit tier. I mean, maybe it isn't high shit tier. I don't know. I don't like it. It's okay. That's what I've got to say about it. Eldrazi Line Breaker. Right? Ugly motherfucker, isn't it? At the beginning of combat on your turn, your first creature gets plus X plus 0 and haste. X is the number of colors cards you control. Right. So if you play a creature, yeah? You see where I'm going with this already. You're ahead of me, aren't you? But you know, let's spell it out. You play a creature, yeah, it's got summoning sickness, so it can't attack, yeah. And then next turn it can attack because it hasn't got summoning sickness. And then you play an Eldrazi Line Breaker, and the Eldrazi Line Breaker gives the creature that can already attack haste, but itself, the creature that needs haste, it does not gain haste. That is not very smart, is it? That is not very smart design. We don't like it. Obviously, if this is the first creature you play, it does gain haste, and it gets plus X plus 0, where X is the number of colourless cards you control. Now, devoid cards are not colourless, remember. This is something that Hibernum gave us, yeah? They didn't want to make devoid cards colourless, like they are in paper, because it was too difficult for them. But the design of the card itself that says the number of colourless cards, that's from paper, and that kind of assumes that your devoid cards are colourless. So this is bad in all kinds of ways. It's low power. It's so low power that nobody cares. I mean, don't forget, you spent 250 crystals on this. This has stopped you. Opening a line breaker has stopped you getting an Echoes of Eternity. So it's bad because it's expensive. It's bad because it's small. It's bad because it's bad design in two different ways. I can't remember the last time I saw a card that was this bad in so many different ways. Well done. They deserve a prize for that. The synergies of badness here. Very impressive. Electrozoa. What have we got? Flash. Why has it got flash? I mean, it's not like you can energize and then overload on your opponent's turn, can you? So why has it got flash? And the answer is because it's got flash and paper and they didn't bother thinking about it. We're into the lazy section of the design now. They made it was a good start, wasn't it? The very first card we looked at was great. Yeah? Do you think they designed them in alphabetical order? And by the time they got to here, they're just like, just put words on the cards. The only reason these cards exist is to stop you getting the good cards. That's the only reason they're in the set at all. So it doesn't matter what they do. So yes, we don't care that it's got flash. Energize 2 at the start of your turn. Overload 1. Each opposing creature gets -2, -2. I guess you'd have to call it high shit tier. High mid shit tier? Low high shit tier? High mid shit tier, probably. You know? I mean, it is going to kill your opponent's stuff. It's energizing a fair amount of stuff, but can anyone get excited about this? I mean, it's a much better card than this, but that means nothing. I don't see anybody getting excited by Electrozoa. Emperor of Bones is a skeleton noble. When this creature enters the battlefield, each card in your hand gains a skeleton subtype. Every single card, even the spells. Okay, when you cast a skeleton card, even the spells, This creature gets +2/+2. Then return the first skeleton card. Oh my god, what have they done? Again. Isn't this just a looping... Isn't this just a crazy looping combo? So I play this, all of the cards in my hand, like a cut your... Let's say I've got a cut your losses. Let's say I've got 2 cut your losses in my hand. They then become skeleton cards, right? Now, they might mean only the creatures. That's not how it's written. They've said every card in your hand gets a skeleton subtype. So I'm going to assume that my cut your losses become skeleton spells. But it might just mean the creatures. But do you see what's happening there? Then you play a cut your losses. This gets +2/+2. Yeah? You play the second cut your losses. That puts the first cut your losses back into your hand because it's a skeleton card. Those 2 cut your losses are just now looping. Nothing's stopping them looping now. Yeah? This creature is getting bigger and generating mana. We appear to have infinite looping going on a single card. This is just a terrible, terrible idea, printing this card. I mean, I thought they probably hadn't figured out what they were doing with Echoes of Eternity. But to get another one so soon that does the same thing, that just goes, you know, that type of card that you're going to play, just cast them infinitely. And people say they hate combo. Gods is always going, oh, they hate combo players. Gideon earlier. Hello, Gideon in Discord was saying, oh, they hate combo players. This is not a card that's been designed by a developer who hates combo players. This is a card that's been designed by a developer who wants you to play nothing but combo. Again, if there was such a thing as a chase card in this set, this might be it. When you get it, test it and let me know. Because if this can loop spells, like cut your losses, it's just going to win games. Very, very quickly and easily. If, on the other hand, it only gives the skeleton type to creatures, is that less broken? I mean, yes, it's less broken. Is it even broken? It's still powerful. Clearly, it's still powerful. I don't know. That's one for the Johnny Combo players, to be perfectly honest. It feels to me like you could build a looping deck with just creatures. If the skeleton subtype only gets applied to creatures, it feels to me like the effects on that card are such. Don't forget, this thing generates mana. Yeah? This Emperor of Bones gets bigger and gives mana depending on how big it is. So it doesn't take long until it's generating as much mana as you need. Creatures, of course, don't go into the graveyard. That's where the Johnnies come in. That's where the Johnnies start coming up with ideas for creatures that do go into the... You know, there are creatures that you play them and they immediately kill themselves. You know, or maybe you can target them with a creature kill effect that they generate themselves. I don't know. Or maybe there's a creature that dumps a load of cards into your graveyard when you play it. If this card only gives the skeleton subtype to creatures, it's probably broken. If it gives it to spells, it's absolutely the most broken combo engine I've seen since Barrel. Do you remember Barrel? Yeah. It's obscene if this does spells. And if it doesn't, still probably completely broken, to be honest. And plus, there's no real excuse for this one. They knew what they were doing when they made this card. That's concerning. Emrakul, the world anew. Okay, well, clearly the Emrakul we already have is extraordinarily powerful. Let's see what we've got with this one. We've got 2020, 1212, hexproof. So already we've got a nice big body, nice big hexproof body. Doesn't have haste like Gaia's Revenge. But we've already got something with a nice big 1212 hexproof body. When this creature enters the battlefield, if you control 2 or less creatures, gain control of target opposing creature. Okay. That's a good effect. I'm not sure we necessarily want it on a 2020, so 20 mana 1212, but maybe we do. Then, ingest X. X is the number of creatures with devoid you control, including their reinforcements. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's 1. Yeah? Emrakul's got devoid. It's probably not going to be reinforced. You're probably not going to have a big stack of devoid creatures alongside it. So it's probably going to ingest 1, isn't it? I feel like it's going to ingest 1. So when this creature attacks process 3, it's probably not going to have created 3 gems to process. It doesn't give itself haste. It doesn't have haste, and it can't give itself haste. But what it can do is it can give the creature that it's stolen haste. But no, it can't, because it only steals the creature on the turn that it comes into play. Am I not getting something here? When this creature attacks, your creatures gain haste. But it's not going to attack, because it hasn't got haste. What am I missing here? I mean, does it mean at the start of combat it gains haste? I'm sure I've heard somebody in the forum saying that somebody played this against them and it was good and it hit them very hard. But it feels to me like it's not going to have the gems to process. But when you play it, on the turn that you play it, even if you have the gems to process, it doesn't attack. So it's not got summoning sickness. So it's not going to gain haste. I don't understand the point of the haste thing. I mean, haste is generally very badly done. This is not an anomaly, haste being put on cards badly, because the developers don't understand it. All back through time. We've had activate gems giving haste in the past. Yeah, Goblin Motivator gains haste from an activate gem. Activate gems don't even appear until the next turn. Haste is one of the least poorly understood mechanics by their own designers throughout the history of the game. I mean, maybe it doesn't work like. Maybe it just triggers at the start of combat, and it does give itself haste if there's enough gems to process. But remember, there might well not be. It's probably, if you just cast this, you're ingesting 1. Unless you happen to steal a creature with devoid. But that's kind of unlikely, isn't it? And even if you do steal a creature with devoid, that's 2. It's not 3. I mean, it's fine. You get excited about this card if you want. A 12/12 with hexproof is something. Stealing a creature is something. This is a something card. This is definitely a high shit tier card. I don't know, maybe somebody will be able to persuade me it's god shit tier at some later date. But it's not a patch on old Emrakul, is it? Not a patch on old Emrakul. Emrakul's Messenger, what have we got here? When you draw a card, create an Eldrazi spawn token. Now, these are not Eldrazi Scions. but they're not 10/10s either. That was an Eldrazi. So what's this? At the beginning of your turn, ingest X. X is 1 plus this support's shield. Then this support loses 1 shield. I mean, that's terrible, isn't it? When you draw a card, you create a spawn token. It's got 1 shield, so it might not survive the turn. If it does survive the turn, then at the beginning of your next turn, it ingests 2 gems and then vanishes. What concerns me about this set is Webcore tend to do this thing where they assume that because something's in the game, it must be good. And I think they've done that with Void Gems. We hated Void Gems. Void Gems were shit. Void Gems were a swing and a miss, really. You know, Void Gems were one of the first mechanics that Hibernum came up with. Yeah, in the very first expansion to the game, they'd made the base game. They made a bunch of really interesting mechanics. I mean, even back then. Oh, who's in the chat? Hello, somebody else in the chat. God knows when you turned up. Somebody else in the chat. Sorry, I've been sitting on the sofa again. Where was I? Yes, one of the very first mechanics that Hibernum made. They made things like Berserk and Defender, which seemed interesting, and kind of were interesting in the early days of the game, even though they're fairly irrelevant now. And then the first expansion they made, Void, and we shouldn't be too mean to them for Void because it was an attempt to do something new with Void, but Void Gems are very dull. What they do is slow the game down. You know, they slow the board down. They make everybody gain less mana. We didn't like it. And I feel like Webcore are leaning into that. They're going, oh, Void! Void was a thing that used to exist. Let's give some things Void. No, we didn't like it. You can't just put it onto things and expect it to be good. When this creature attacks, draw a card, then ingest 1. Mind you, I like this. All of a sudden, this second sentence has kind of given us some more, hasn't it? Now, it's still a bit small, yeah? This is like a Jessian Thief, a 2/1 Jessian Thief. It's a bit small. It's a creature, it's 10 mana, it attacks, it draws a card every time it attacks, and it doesn't put mana into it. So that's very old tech now. We don't like cards like that. But it is every turn creating an Eldrazi spawn token. In fact, it's creating 2 because you're going to draw 1 card for the turn. Yeah. You're going to draw a card when it attacks. So it's creating an appreciable number of Void Gems. I just think that's all it's doing, isn't it? It is giving you more cards, but, you know, again, it's 2024. Just drawing an extra card every turn isn't good enough now. You know? Okay, I play with Curses of Valence. That costs 3. Yeah? I'm not paying 10 mana for that effect. So this does create a lot of Void Gems, and I don't think we care about the fact that it creates a lot of Void Gems. To be honest, I don't even know what happens, right, if your opponent runs out of gems of their colour. Do you stop ingesting? Who knows? I don't even know. So yes. So there's a certain amount of, in inverted commas, power on this card, but it's power to do something rubbish. So you can call that power if you want. That's not really what I call power. Yeah. A powerful effect that does a lot of nothing is not really a powerful effect. We shall move on. We've spent too long on that card. Envoy of the Ancestors. Activate 3 white, not enough. Enlist a gem. Then this creature gets +1/+1. Yeah, dull. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control a buffed creature, those creatures gain lifelink. Yeah. Yeah. When you choose a target other than your opponent's planeswalker, this creature loses trample, first strike, double strike. Well, I never knew that. What's that? It's my phone going off in my pocket saying bucket on it. That's to remind me to change the bucket that's catching the drips coming off my leaky boiler in the garage. Sorry about that. Just a little insight into my life there. I don't know why I told you all that. When you match a non-basic white gem by swapping for the first time during your turn, you may choose an opposing target. Your creatures with a symbol will attack that target only. Loses trample, first strike, and double strike. I don't care. It's just, it does a lot of things, that card, and it doesn't do anything particularly well. Etched Slith. Now, Sliths, I believe, are creatures that get bigger. Is that right? They get +1/+1 every turn. Back in the early days of Paper Magic, we had Whirling Dervish, and then Sliths were like a whole cycle of creatures that got bigger every turn. What they've done here is they've copied the numbers over, haven't they? It's a 1/1. Yeah, a 1/1 in paper that turns into a 2/2 and then a 3/3 and then a 4/4. That's a lot bigger. I mean, that's not even very good in paper anymore, but it's a lot bigger than a creature that does that in Magic Puzzle Quest. When this creature attacks, if your opponent controls a reinforced creature or a creature with base toughness 1 or less, a random opposing creature gains imminent death, then reinforces creature. Wow. What a piece of shit. Thanks for the 250 crystals, though. Yeah, keep spending money, you fucking morons. Fanatic of Ronas. When this creature enters the battlefield, destroy the top 8 cards of your library. Okay, maybe I like where this is going. Oh, look, it's got Leyline, so it's much bigger. Much bigger than a 10 mana 1/4. I like how this card is going then, in that case, so far. When this creature is exiled or dies... Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? I should make graphs of how interested I am in a card as I read each word, you know? And the graph would go up and down. Even before I know what the rest of the card says. Each word and phrase triggers a certain raising or lowering in the graph. And that one, I'm afraid, has made my interest in the card drop off. When this creature is exiled or dies, if 2 or more cards named Fanatic of Ronas are in your graveyard... Oh, this just gets worse and worse. It was such a good start, wasn't it? 10 mana 1/4 with Leyline. Destroy the top 8 cards of your library. If this was a black card, it would be like, then put one of those cards into play. But oh no, not Fanatic of Ronas. When it's exiled or dies, if 2 or more cards named Fanatic of Ronas are in your graveyard, return it to the battlefield. Then reinforce it X times and exile all cards named Fanatic of Ronas from the graveyard. X is the number of cards exiled this way. Yeah, nobody's getting excited about this. I mean, this is high shit tier. Just a 10 mana 1/4 with Leyline. That's going to kill your opponent fairly quickly. You know, when you're fox punching, yeah, when you're playing level 1 of Fateful Showdown, you're going to get enough green matches that you can kill your opponent within 6 rounds. Not that it matters when you're mastering cards if you kill your opponent within 6 rounds for the objective. But yeah, this is high shit tier. But they could have done so much more with a creature that was going to sprog itself back from the graveyard. I mean, the high watermark for me with creatures that sprog themselves back from the graveyard is still the Blood Operative. Make something like the Blood Operative again. Yeah, do you remember that? The vampire? Every time you surveil, sping, it spops back out into play. It's got lifelink. That's a relevant thing. It starts exiling cards from graveyards. That's just a little extra thing that it does. That's my high watermark from coming back from the graveyard. This, not good enough. Oops. Fangs of Colonia. Colonia. Seed 2 gems. Right, that's not very good. Target creature gets ley line. Okay. That's... Reinforce each creature you control. Then reinforce each creature you control X times. Oh, okay, so we might be talking about something here now. X is the number of these creatures' reinforcements. So, yeah, I did probably one for the Timmies, I think. I don't think I'm going to be playing with this, but... I mean, I haven't played with another round yet. I know some people really like another round from OTJ. But if you play a Galter... Yeah? And then you play this, it gets reinforced. Yeah? It's a 30-30. Then you reinforce it X times, it's a 60-60. That sounds exciting, isn't it? Until you remember that, you know, Galter's just great on its own and you could play other cards in the deck that weren't this one. You know? Yeah, I don't know. Reinforce. Target creature gets ley line. Okay. I mean, that doesn't really seem like the important thing, does it? Every creature you control gets reinforced once and then twice more. At the bare minimum. If all of your creatures have no reinforcements, they get 4 times bigger. And that's not nothing, is it? Again, it's not really a me card. But it's not nothing, certainly. Don't know why it's seeding 2 gems. What's seeding 2 gems got to do with anything? I just don't get that. They just threw that on for no reason, did they? Maybe there's some relevance in the paper card, but that just seems like ugly design. Yeah, but not nothing, that card. That is my final review of the card. Not nothing. Final act. 25. Destroy all cards in play. No, it's not all cards, is it? Because it's not going to get Vanguards. At least we don't think it'll get Vanguard. What did I find got Vanguards that surprised me? Oh, Dak. Dak Faden's second ability blew up a Vanguard today, and it doesn't say that it's allowed to. So, who knows? Maybe Final Act will blow up a Vanguard. Who knows? But that's your famous way to exploit the Great Aurora, isn't it? You know, it blows everything up. It's a mirror effect, but you can get around it by playing Vanguards. So you'll probably be able to do the same thing here. Destroy all gems as well. Okay. That seems like it'll result in some cascades for you, doesn't it? 25 mana's a lot, though. Each player discards all cards that can be discarded and draws 3 cards. Exile each graveyard, gain 15 mana. Right. So when I say that destroying all gems is going to generate some mana, it's not, is it? Because you're going to destroy everything in play, and then you're going to destroy all gems. So it doesn't matter from the point of blowing up supports, destroying all gems doesn't matter. And then you discard your hand. So from the point of view of gaining mana, it doesn't matter either. So the only thing you get out of destroying all gems is loyalty. Is it going to be an appreciable amount of loyalty? I honestly don't know. I've no idea. Maybe you get an average of 6 every time you play this. Maybe you get an average of 15. I've really got no idea. You're just going to have to play it and find out. Good luck getting hold of it, by the way. It'll take you a couple of years, probably, it being a masterpiece. What's the percentage chance of masterpieces on this set? I bet it's very, very small. So we're destroying everything, but not vanguards, which we can use to get around the card. Destroy all gems. And then we're going to make our opponent discard his hand. We're both going to reset to a 3-card hand. We're discarding. So, you know, we can be using that to put some things in the graveyard. And then we get 15 mana. We're not getting any more from the destroying gems, but we're getting 15 mana. We can't put things into the graveyard because we exile all graveyards. Right, so we discard our hand, draw up to 3, and then exile the graveyard. So we can't do graveyard things with it. So, yeah, vanguards stay in play. Everything else goes. 3 cards each. I get 15 mana. So I am 15 mana ahead, which sounds like a decent enough deal. And I'm probably some loyalty up as well. The only downside, really, is 25 mana is a lot, isn't it? I mean, if you're being beaten down by anything, a Galter, a Tainted Adversary, a Bloodthirsty Adversary, a Huntmaster of the Fells, and you rip this off the top of your deck, good luck getting 25 mana before it kills you. That's all I've got to say. Yeah? I can't see myself playing this over the Great Aurora, to be perfectly honest. I don't think the fact that I'm shredding cards out of my opponent's hand with this is worth that 10 extra mana. And to be honest, I don't play the Great Aurora a lot. Started playing it a bit more in Seize the Day, because Seize the Day has a very small pool of cards. And I got a bit sick of fighting against Pajamas and them hiding Hixuses on the board, so my Demolishers can't get them. So I've started playing the Great Aurora more in that event. And I have played the Great Aurora in Standard. The last Standard, back when ZNR was still in Standard, I did start playing with the Great Aurora, but I haven't been playing with it for a while. So my gut says too expensive for the final act. Let us move along to Flare of Cultivation. This was the alt art card that I got. It's got to be the worst alt art, hasn't it? I mean, I don't know, but just looking at it, it seems like it's the worst alt art of all the alt arts. The beginning of combat on your turn. If this card is in your hand and doesn't have full mana, you may destroy target non-token creature you control. Well, I don't really want to do that. If you do, this card gains full mana. Fetch the first land support from your library, then convert 5 gems to green. Well, 5 gems to green is not enough, is it? It's blatantly not enough. We all know Animist Awakening whiffs all the time. It's not a particularly good conversion spell, Animist Awakening. And Animist Awakening costs 5, and it might do it twice as well. I think I play with Animist Awakening in some Legacy decks, maybe, but it is not. It's not the best conversion spell. Animist Awakening is like the worst conversion spell that goes into green conversion Legacy decks. I'm not even sure it goes in all of them. I think we've got a critical mass anyway. This is just not good enough. Unless there's some clever reason why you might want to kill one of your creatures. Like, for example, a Galter, so you can play another Galter. But converting 5 is just shit, isn't it? I understand why it's only 5. It's because it's green. Yeah? Cut Your Losses converts 9. Yeah? And Cut Your Losses is blue, the colour traditionally associated with mana conversion. Yeah, green isn't supposed to get mana. That's why it's rubbish. Yeah, nobody looks at green and goes, oh yeah, I should be able to get mana out of my green. Yeah. Blue is the ramp colour, isn't it? And the colour of literally everything else. Shit! Flare of Denial. What have we got here? Oh, God, this is going to be draining, isn't it? Yes, it is. At the beginning of combats, this card in your hand doesn't have full mana, you destroy a creature. Okay, so they're all going to say that, are they? Yeah. You can destroy a creature at the beginning of combat. Right, so too late then. After the point in your turn where you cast spells, you can then decide to sacrifice one of your creatures, so you don't get to attack with it, and you also don't get to cast the spell. That was a choice. They could have done that at any point during the turn. They chose to do it at the worst point. Drain all mana from the first 2 cards in your opponent's hand. Gain 2 mana. Fuck off. What's this one do? Exile the top card of your library. If it's a spell card, gains 3 loyalty. Then create a copy of that card in your hand. That copy gains 4 mana. 19?! Okay, maybe I might want to actually sacrifice a creature to put 19 into here. Create a copy of that card in your hand. Oh, I think it has to be a spell. I mean, it's hard to say, isn't it? You exile it. I mean, I think you've got to assume for 19 mana, I think you have to assume that even if it's not a spell, you get a copy and you get 4 mana in it. Because if you don't get a spell and you've spent 19 mana and you've killed a creature for no reason, even Webcore wouldn't make a card that bad. Octagon might have done, but I don't think Webcore would make a card that bad. You know, I'm not saying they make all bad cards. I'm just saying they make a lot of bad cards. Flare of Denial, for example. That's a bad card. I don't think I like it. I don't know. If the Johnnies, are they psychically screaming at me, no, we can do something with this, Steve? Fair enough. If you can, Johnnies, enjoy yourselves. If you can. It looks a bit rubbish to me. Flare of Fortitude. See, those alt arts aren't bad, are they? That one's all right. This one's just terrible. I don't know what the hell's going on that one. Don't like it at all. Flare of Fortitude. This is the white one. At the beginning of combat, on your turn, do the thing. Your Planeswalker gains prevent damage. That feels like it's not good enough. For a single turn, gaining prevent damage, it feels like it's not good enough. So how do we cast it every single turn? Velomach's Lawhold is good at casting a spell every single turn. You do then have to stop the Velomach's Lawhold dying. I don't know. I mean, clearly that's what you want to do. Whiff rate of 5 gens is 43%, says Lars, who's in the chat. Hi, Lars. Welcome in. Thank you for that. Yes, whiff rate of... That was... we were talking about... Flare of Cultivation. 43% chance of whiffing. That's not good, is it? Flare of Fortitude. Yeah. I mean, I think as a one-off, as a fog... it's too expensive and bad and rubbish. I can't, off the top of my head, think of a really brilliant way of casting it every turn. I mean, people do Revel in, is it called Revel in Silence or Revel of Silence? People do that in Legacy, don't they? They cast that every single turn with Velomach's Lawhold. I like Velomach's Lawhold. I also like to say the words Velomach's Lawhold. It just feels nice tripping off the tongue. But the thing about casting the Revel of Silence every turn is it does stop your opponent killing your Velomachus Lawhold. Yeah? Whereas just casting this every turn with a Velomachus Lawhold, see, I told you I like to say it, does not stop your opponent killing the Velomachus Lawhold. It can stop him killing you, doesn't stop him killing your dragon. And then when your dragon is dead, are we enjoying House of the Dragon? It's good, isn't it? When your dragon is dead, then you can't cast this every turn anymore. So I think you really want to rely on something that's not a creature. But there might be something out there, so watch out for that. You know, maybe it'll even be okay against some kind of PvP thing. I doubt it. When you're playing in Legacy, you want to win, don't you? You don't want to just like not lose. You want to win. Who's out there building combos that just don't win? People have done that in the past. Flare of Malice. Does the creature thing. Destroy an opposing vanguard if you can't destroy the first opposing creature with the greatest power. I mean, way too expensive. Yeah? And it's not good enough to say, oh well, you can pay the alternate cost. Oh, in paper these are probably pitch spells, aren't they? Is that what it is? Are these pitch spells in paper? Is that what's going on here? Because yeah, no fuckers playing with this. 15 mana is too expensive. Destroying one of your own creatures is too expensive. The fact that you get the choice does not make it worth playing. So rubbish, I'm afraid. Flooded Strand, terrible. We're not going into that again. They're going to be 5 of these. They all suck. Maybe somebody will find a use for them. I don't know. Maybe you're all out there playing these with Blossoming Tortoise and having a blast. I mean, go ahead. Why not? Give it a go. Yeah, they fetch lots of lands, and the Blossoming Tortoise does lots of conversion when you do that. I mean, fine, okay, if you want. It still does mean that one whole card in your deck is terrible, at least. Maybe you're playing with more of them, I don't know. I don't like them. I hate them. I don't want lands. Right, look. This is what it is. Lands are not for combo players. Yeah? Don't make lands that like make the game less fun. Lands are supposed to make everybody play more spells and increase the amount of interaction in the game so everybody has more fun and everybody plays the game of Magic Puzzle Quest. Don't make lands that just, when you put them into play, put a load of mana into your hands so that combo players can play with them. Don't do that. Don't make lands that just shut down the entire fucking game, like Desert, so nobody can do anything. Don't do that. Make lands the way that lands are supposed to work. So what I'm saying is that even if this does work with Blossoming Tortoise, I still hate it. Genku, Future Shaper. Activate 2 white, your creatures get +1/+1. Rubbish. It just says somebody new come to the company. There's a lot of this. Activate 1 white. Plus they've changed the way it's written as well. Have you noticed that? It also says activate white 2, activate blue 1. Is this a brand new designer? Because we've not had this much activate, have we, in recent sets? And it all sucks here. I mean, it felt like they knew that it sucked on Demolishing Field, didn't they? Because they gave us Activate 10. They wouldn't have given us Activate 10 if they didn't know that Activate Gems absolutely sucked. But now here, all of a sudden, we're getting Activate 1s and Activate 2s again. When a non-token creature dies, create a Cloud Moonfolk token. 1/2, gain 1 mana. You might be able to pump it up. If you control a card named Cloud Moonfolk, create a Mighty Foe. Okay, so when a non-token creature dies, could be one of your opponents, first of all you create a tiny little rubbish thing, And then, after that, you create a tiny little rubbish thing. Yeah, it's very difficult to get excited, isn't it? You know, it's a 2-5 and a 1-2 and a 2-2, and then they all reinforce. Yeah, they all reinforce. So you know, that's an extra 5 points of damage. Yeah. And it happens every turn. Okay, it's increased 5 more points of damage. Yeah, and they activate 2 white, increases. It's just all that much bloody effort. And any of them might die at a moment's notice because they're all tiny and shit, the creatures. You're just going to play Rakdos, aren't you? You're just going to do that because it's better. Ghostfire Slice. At the beginning of your turn, if this card is in your hand, reduces cost by X. X is the number of void gems on the board. Okay, how exciting. Destroy an opposing non-token support. They seem to have... They're not into simple. Why did they even invent simple tokens? I knew they'd fucking do this. I've just forgotten about that. Oh, yeah, it's really important that we have simple tokens and we make it a complicated list of things that you're going to forget what they are. It's really important. And the next set, they're just like, no, we just don't care about that anymore. Whatever. Non-token now. Well, why didn't you use non-token for collecting evidence? Well, we couldn't do that for reasons. Why didn't you do collect evidence in a sensible way like it was done in paper? Oh, because we're really, really fucking lazy, Steve. That's why. Destroy an opposing non-token support at random. If that card is not colourless, deal 7 damage to a random opposing target. Can affect vanguards. Yeah, I mean, that's bad, isn't it? That's a bad card. That's really all that needs to be said about that. Glyph Elemental, landfall white. Your creature get +X +X. X is the number of white gems. I mean, okay. Okay, I don't know. Maybe that's good. Maybe that's good in Pajami. Pajami's converting a lot of gems to white all the time, isn't he? He gets free matches off its first ability. All of your creatures are getting +X +X. It's permanent. He gets free creatures. I don't know. Maybe this is really good in Pajami. I'm certainly going to kill it when it turns up on the board in case it does turn out to be really good. Yeah, that's probably okay. I mean, probably only in Pajami. And it doesn't look like it's going to be as good as, you know, some of the more terrifying Pajami cards of the past, like Armaments Master, you know, and Angel of Destiny, I think it was called. It doesn't look like it's going to be quite as terrifying as that. But I think it's got the potential to be really massive and scary. Hasn't it? I think so. You know? Especially with, you know, some extra gem conversion. Pajami's got his own gem conversion, but there's nothing to stop him playing with Cryptex, you know? And playing with Leyline and things like that. Watch out for that one. It might be surprisingly big. Might be one of the better Pajami cards we've seen in quite some time, actually. Might be. Golden Tail Trainer. At the beginning of your turn, equipment cards in your hand gain 6 mana. Yes, I don't really remember myself having a lot of equipment cards in my hand in the past. I mean, basically the only equipment card that I play with is Blade of Shared Souls. Don't usually need to be putting any mana into that, actually, for various reasons. So, yes. Can't get excited by that. When this creature attacks, gets +X +X. X is this creature's power. What have we got? Bravery. Oh, God. Bravery. Right. Okay, so I see what they've done here, and I don't even mind it that much. The synergy that's going on in this card, right? I don't even mind. This is almost a piece of good design. very nearly a piece of good design. I'm not even being sarcastic here. Because bravery here, yeah, is making this guy attack with the equipment, and that makes his ability better. Yeah? You don't really want to double up that 1-3 power to a 2-3, yeah? And then a 4-3 and an 8-3. I mean, you know, that's good. We know that doubling up's good. But Lars in the chat just said Glyph Elemental plus Healer of the Pride. All of a sudden I'm fucking terrified now. Sorry, it took me a long time to get Healer of the Pride, and I always forget it exists. Yes, Healer of the Pride converts a lot of gems. It's very, very cheap. Mind you, that is all 3 of your creatures, though, isn't it? That's the only thing about that. Yeah? Usually, when you're doing terrifying things with Healer of the Pride, yeah, you've got Healer of the Pride, you've got your cap tokens, and you've got another slot somewhere that you're generating a lot of creatures with, yeah? You've not really got a spare slot, have you? I suppose you could build if you've got Glyph and you've got Healer, you the player can build over your cap tokens, but Greg isn't going to do that, yeah? He's going to fill up his 3 creature slots. That is going to slow him down. Thank God for that. Yeah. Yeah. Glyph Elemental is going to be a thing, isn't it? You're right. It is going to be a thing. Deceptively small. Anyway, we were talking about Golden Trailer. Yeah. Anyway, I don't need to... it doesn't have to be Pajama. Yeah, I know it doesn't have to be Pajama, but it doesn't have to be Pajama. No, you're right, actually. No, instead of just saying the words out loud, that it doesn't have to... Why don't I listen to what Lars is saying in the chat? It doesn't have to... Yeah, that's very true. So Greg can actually play Glyph Elemental and Healer of the Pride with a different Planeswalker. That will mean he has a 3rd creature slot. Yeah? Because he won't fill his 3rd creature slot up with cap tokens if he's playing a different Planeswalker. Yeah. Scary. I think that's a scary card. Anyway, I don't think... It's too much effort to re-explain why I thought this was good design. But you all get it, yeah? You all understand it, yeah? I'm not sure this is particularly scary, you know. Yes, doubling... That's all very exciting. The thing about Railway Brawler is it does a lot of doubling in one turn. Devilish Valet does a lot of doubling in one turn. This only ever does 1 double once. Then what we do have a black card like this, don't there's just like a 16 mana 4/4 that doubles its power every turn. Ever see anybody play with that? I remember mastering it for a while. And it's high shit tier, but, you know, nobody cares. Not when you can play with Tainted Adversary. So Golden Tail Trainer... some interesting design, not going to trouble the scorer. High shit tier. Grim Servant. When this creature enters the battlefield, pick 1 of the first 4 cards in your library, fetch it, destroy the others. Then that card gains X mana, X is a number of corrupted gems. Beginning of combat, corrupt 2 gems. Now, we've not really seen this as an effect before, just like continually corrupt gems. Do we care? I don't think we do. I mean, he's got a berry cost of 18, which is very large. It's not like he's fetching a card every turn. He's only fetching when he comes into play. I don't think we care about this guy at all. Sorry. Guide of Souls. Right, here we go again. Now. Oh, Lars, have you seen this guy? Lars. Well, while you're here, I'd not seen this one before. Emperor of Bones. Just have a look yourself. We've done it on the video already. Have a look at Emperor of Bones. Just tell me what you think of that card. Anyway, us on the video here, we're going to skip forward in time back to where we were again. Guide of Souls. Yes, now the reason why I thought of Emperor of Bones is that this is another one. There is There is a creature, Ocelot Pride, is that what it's called? That that creates creatures when you gain life. And here we have Guide of Souls. When another creature enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life. Yeah? So there's a few examples of this actually at the moment. We do have a loop. We've got effects at the moment that put creatures into play when you gain life, and other effects that gain life when you put creatures into play. And that, my friends, is an infinite loop. So again, expect nerfs. Let's have a look at this guy. When another creature enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life. I mean, that's in a vacuum, that's not too exciting on its own. It's only in the specific instance where we're triggering it round in a loop that we're excited, really, isn't it? Because, I mean, you know, gaining 2 life isn't a particularly exciting effect. You know, either this forms into a complete loop and goes infinite, or we've gained some life. And that's not very exciting. Then Energize 1. Overload 3. Creatures you control gain Angel subtype. Creatures gain flying. Creatures with flying, it's +2/+2. So yeah, I mean, that's just a fucking combo piece, isn't it? That's all it is. It's a terrible card, apart from it being a combo piece. But it might be a combo piece. It is definitely a combo piece at the moment with that creature. I believe it's called Ocelot Pride. That puts creatures into play when you gain life. This is not the only card that combos with that card, but it is one of them. Expect nerfs. Harbinger of the Seas. Well, I mean, Harbinger of the Tides is a favourite card of mine. I still play that bad boy from Origins. Probably a little more than I should, to be honest, because it's far from tier 1 standard. It's just solid, and I just like it, and for some reason I end up playing it a lot. So let's see what Harbinger of the Seas does. When non-blue gems would be converted, convert those gems to blue instead. Okay, this is interesting. When non-blue gems would be converted, convert those gems to blue. Okay. So, I mean, fair enough. You've played a Galta, and I've gone, haha! All of those gems are now gone blue instead of green. But you just go, well, fine, I'll have a huge amount of mana and loyalty anyway. But wait, there's more. All coloured mana bonuses of that player's Planeswalker become 0 until the beginning of your next turn. I mean, is that still not working? Isn't it? Is that so? So I play this, and you play a Galta, yeah, yeah, and I'm like, haha, the gems are blue and not green, and you go, okay, fine, I'll have a bunch of blue gems, and then I go, aha, and your blue mana bonus is 0. Don't you still go, well, okay, I'm still getting 3 mana for each of those many matches that I'm getting on the board, and a bunch of loyalty as well. Because a mana bonus of 0 doesn't mean 0 mana, does it? So, I mean, look, Desert is too good. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this should be as good as Desert, because Desert is far too good. Yeah. I think they made Desert in order to nerf Galta. And what Desert actually does is nerf everything else far more than it nerfs Galta. You're probably better off with Galta because of its enormous body against Desert than anything else, because Desert is just going to wipe anything else off the board. Incidentally, if you want a good laugh, yeah, try playing Desert with Faithbound Judge. Throw in Golden Wish as well. Why not? If you want a funny laugh, ha 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 ha, 30 damage to everything every turn. Yeah, is that balanced? Not at all. Desert is too good and needs a nerf. Let's face it. And it's dull as well. It's dull. It just locks the fucking game down. You know, I know it doesn't kill your own creatures, but it does stop you, you know, accelerating forward with mana conversion. I don't like it. Don't like Desert. It's bad for the game. I don't like Harbinger of the Seas. It's not particularly good. It's interesting. It's not particularly good. Herigast, Erupting Nullkite. Now, I mean, this to me, this sounds like a dragon with a null rod strapped to it. And that sounds like the most exciting card you could ever possibly have. It's going to let me down, but that's what I'm expecting, yeah? I'm expecting a dragon, a big, fat, fire-breathing body with a null rod that shuts down all your opponent's stuff. That would be my dream card. Let's see what it actually does. At the beginning of your turn, if this card is in your hand, ingest 2. Right. Again, not very exciting because ingesting is shit. But I mean, this is a good way to ingest if you happen to want to make a load of void gems. For example, for your brand new PM2 Emrakul, this seems as good a way as any to get some void gems on the board. I mean, it is targeting your opponent's gems, and it's free. I mean, if you're going to want to try and play with void gems, maybe this is a good card to do it with. Yeah? If I have to pay any mana to put void gems on the board, then that's too expensive. But paying 0 mana to put void gems on the board, give it a try, see what you think. There is more. When this creature enters the battlefield, discard your hand. Oh dear. Then, fetch the first 3 creature cards from your library. Oh good. When a non-token creature you control dies or loses a reinforcement, each creature card in your hand goes to void. I mean, it really kept us going until the last word there, didn't it? Yeah, I've got no cards. I'm fetching 3 creatures. Yeah, and then they all gain devoid. So maybe not, actually. When I was saying that, you know, I'd like to convert void gems for free, what I don't mean is I'd like to have to put this rubbish card that takes an entire 10% of the cards in my deck, yeah, into my deck. In order to do that. So, you know, if that ingest 2 effect had been strapped to a card that was worth playing with, then I would have gone, okay, I'm going to try playing with some void gems today and seeing if it makes a difference. But this card sucks! Imskir Iron Eater, how are we doing for time? I reckon, my God, we've been going for ages. I think we'll do a couple more cards, as we are wont to do, and then call it quits. We're not halfway through the set, but we did do the Planeswalkers at the start. So if we do a couple more cards, see how I feel. It should split the set review neatly down the middle, which is what we like to do. So let us go for last card number 1, Imskir Iron Eater. This card costs 3 less for each artifact card you control. Well, 21 mana 5/5 is way too expensive, and it does not have any good creature abilities. 3 less for each artifact card you control. Where are you going to get artifacts from nice and cheaply? I mean, you're not, are you? Is the thing. Isn't there an Ixalan event where you just get free gold tokens sprogging into play? Yeah, playing first abilities and getting gold tokens doesn't count. That's not cheap. I mean, this is a 21 mana 5/5 we're talking about. It's terrible. When this creature enters the battlefield, draw X cards and lose X life. X is half the number of artifact cards you control, including their reinforcements rounded down. Are they gaining mana? I don't see them gaining mana. This is an awful card. When an artifact card you control is destroyed or loses a reinforcement, interesting, Deal Y damage to a random opposing target. Y is that card's base mana cost. Okie dokie. I don't think so. Really? Yeah? So you've got this. You've got a Cryptex. What else have you got? A Chrome Mox, maybe? Yeah, maybe a Dragon's Horde. You've got a bunch of artifacts that convert gems. Yeah? Is anyone buying this? No, I'm not buying it. Don't like it. Kozilek! Sweet. Right, let's get some Eldrazi up in here. When this creature enters the battlefield, exile the top 9 cards of your opponent's library. I'm scanning the card. I don't see anything that does anything good with them, though. When a creature with Devoid you control attacks, ingest 3. Right. So this is an 18 mana 9/9 with fuck all good abilities. We've got nothing good so far. Yeah? We're ingesting 3 when it attacks. That's not good. Then that creature gets plus... Why did we exile 9 cards? Gars, how you doing, man? I'm just about to finish, Gars. I've been on for... I think I've been on for nearly 3 hours, you know. Or did I start at... No, I think I started at 9:30. Okay, so I've not been on for... I've only been on for a little more than 2 hours. Nice to see you, Gars. Anyway, unfortunately, we're on the dregs at the moment now. Have you seen that fucking Emperor of Bones thing? The skeleton guy thing? Gars, tell me you've seen the skeleton guy thing. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, why is Kozilek exiling cards? Why? It does nothing. Exile top 9 cards and then do nothing with them. What's the fucking point of that? This creature gets plus X. X is the number of void gems on the board. Right. So you're attacking with this. It's a 9/9. And then it becomes, drumroll please, a 12/12. I'm not excited. High shit tier. Definitely high shit tier. But rubbish. Shit. Please remember, when I describe something as being high shit tier, the operative word is shit. Okay? Let's keep going just a little bit. Yeah, I was hoping to hear your take on the skeleton guy. Yes, do go back, because I fucking couldn't believe that thing. I don't know. Do you know if anyone's got the skeleton guy, guys? Because it sounds to me when you read the card like it turns spells into skeletons, which is obviously completely broken, but it might only turn creatures into skeletons, which is also obviously completely broken. Kozilek's command. What have we got here? When you cast a colourless card, if this card is in your hand, it increases card's level by 1. Right. Always shit, aren't they? Level increasing cards like this are always shit. Let's see what this one does. Spree 1 ingest X. Rubbish. Spree 2 create X Eldrazi spawn tokens, which is just more ingesting. Spree 3 exile Orca. This card... How many different ways can a card do nothing? It's got 3 different icons on it. It's got 3 different levels of spree on it. It does nothing. I don't hate it as much as the card. What was the card that we did? Oh, I'm not going back again. You can all go back through the review and see it for yourselves. It's not as spectacularly bad design as that card that I was saying before was bad, but it's bad. Right, let's just do one more card then. And it is getting late, so I will call it a night then. And we will reconvene, I don't know, within the next couple of days. I never do the part 2 on the next night because I need a bit of a break. But part 2 will be, what's day today? The day is Wednesday, so part 2 will be Friday or Saturday. I'll probably get people's opinions as to whether I should do it on Friday or Saturday, depending on what people are doing. So last one, here we go. Kozilek's Unsealing. When a creature attacks, ingest 1. At the end of your turn, process 3, create an Eldrazi. Now, Eldrazi are the good ones. Eldrazi spawn are the little shit things. This is a 10/10. The problem is, it's kind of slow, isn't it? Because you're not attacking with 3 creatures, are you? Because one of the creatures that you're... Oh, well, eventually you are. This is the thing, yes. Eventually you're attacking with 2 creatures and an Eldrazi spawned Eldrazi token, and every turn you're getting a new Eldrazi token. That's what's happened. That's your ceiling of power. But your floor of power is that you've played this, you've played a creature, you've ingested 1, maybe 2, maybe one of those has blown up. It's too slow to get going, isn't it? If you're interested in putting a 10/10 into play every turn, yeah, may I point all of yours attention towards the Vanguard Elspeth from OTJ. That is one sick-ass Vanguard. It plays a lot of soldier tokens. Not necessarily 10 of them every turn, but maybe 10 of them on a turn. So if you want a 10/10 every turn, play that. This is definitely too slow for me. I'm playing Thopter Spy Network over this. Yeah, even though Thopter Spy Network, even that's a little slow to get going, in it, because you need a second support to make it work. But I'm still playing Thopter Spy Network over this. There we go. I think we'll just do one more card. Target creature you control gets +5/+5. Gains reach, trample, and berserk. Why did I should have ended on a mythic. I'm not doing another card after this. Target creature you control gets +5/+5, reach, trample, berserker. The creature gains enchanted. When it dies, return it to the battlefield under your control with its reinforcements, but it does lose the +5/+5. No, don't care. No. You know what I'm going to do with that? I'm going to put that, yeah, I'm going to deem that creature inferior, and I'm going to put it on top of your deck. So it's not going to come back to the battlefield with its reinforcements, because I have deemed it inferior. How about Judith, says Goz. Yes, Judith is a very, very good way of producing. I have played Judith. In both standard and legacy events. I think Judith is a fantastic token generator. I do not think Kozilek's Unsealing is a fantastic token generator. Right, there we go. Thanks for coming in. Everyone seemed to turn up. I think there was another podcast. There's obviously a round table going on. Is that true? Was there a round table going on? I don't know if you're out there are aware of this, that there is a Magic the Gathering podcast called PodQuest, run by Nerd Thuggery, which is very impressively produced and very entertaining. And every so often they get a bunch of creators on. And it seems to me, from the number of content creators who have just shown up in the chat at the last second, that maybe Goz and Mainloop we're doing a big old round table on that. So everyone go and listen to the podcast whenever it comes out. I don't know how long it takes to produce these things. It might not be out for a few days. But they're great. Go listen to those. And come right back here in a day or two to hear part 2 of the Puzzle Masters 2 set review. Thank you all for coming in. I know it was last minute, but that's me, innit? And I shall bid you adieu.